to the ashes. The spirits light up the night.
Now, we're live from the Untold Radio Network. It's Untold Radio AM with MonsterQuest producer, host Doug Hajicek, and co-host Jeff Perrella Jr. Untold Radio AM is going live right now.
Hello.
Hey, everybody, wherever you are, we have another very wet episode today.
Oh, man, it came down hard here today.
Everybody in the upper Midwest is just getting slammed with humidity and rain, and today it was no exception. It was nuts. The weather kind of cleared up, but they're saying we might get bammed again in another hour or so. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
But if you disappear, that's why.
But something happened today. We had a whole normal pre-show and everything planned, but for some reason, Jeff's notes and my notes are microscopic, and I cannot read microscopic notes very well. Can you, Jeff?
No, not really.
So we're gonna do our best.
Not anymore.
We're gonna do our best. Plus, none of our videos and photos came through, but still. We will prevail. We always do.
I do have the Doug's clips. The Doug's clips are good to go.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go.
I got that.
That's a relief. Anyhow, but we will prevail over the problems. That's the fun of doing live podcasts. Yeah. Things happen. And as you know, everybody, we do kind of a complex podcast. We don't just have a guest on. We generally have a pre-show. Right. So anyhow, we've got clip picks. I have the world's shortest tech breakdown tonight. You'll find out soon. It's the world's shortest. It's like 1.5 a minute, 30 seconds. So we may get whammed by lightning and God knows what, but we'll probably be okay. And there's been so much rain. I tried to walk on a trail. It's like overgrown. Everything's just giant.
Unbelievable. Yeah. My yard is just crazy. All my shrubs and stuff are just crazy.
It's good to have a lot of moisture, but I've never, I'm an old guy. I have never seen growth forests like this. The growth in the forest is just like, it's just went.
It's just greener than green everywhere. It's really amazing.
Well, normally trails that I go on are, at least 2 feet wide, and now they're just overgrown.
Yeah,
you get through. Okay,
I got to battle my sidewalk. I used to get through my sidewalk. Everything keeps growing over. It's crazy.
Okay, so tonight I heard something really, really weird during the storm. We both did. Me and Yvette both did. We're listening to it. Some pretty good close lightning strikes, and then there's one that's pretty close. And then it does this. We hear boom, 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 boom. And then it stopped for a second, then it started again. And it was like lightning was being shot out of a gun. And we both heard it. And so I thought, well, they're not going to believe me. And so I said, Yvette, tell me what happened. And I recorded a little audio of her telling what happened. And I thought, I got to play this because I'm telling you, Jeff, I have never heard anything like this. It was like there was some kind of plasma gun shooting.
Weird.
It was really weird. Okay, so let me pull this up here, and I'm going to play this, and I hope hopefully it works. Oh gosh, here we go. All right, listen to this. I wish I would have recorded the actual.
So what I heard was a huge lightning strike and then followed by multiple pulses after that was very repetitive, but almost vibrational at the same time. I've just never heard anything like that before. It was very eerie because it had 3 or 4 and then it just continued on. And I've just never heard anything like that. It really weirded me out.
There you go.
I didn't hear that, but I had one of the biggest booms I've ever heard. It rattled the windows. I mean, it was just one, but it was boom. It was crazy.
What we heard sounded like a damn weapon coming out of the sky. It was bizarre, Jeff. Maybe
it was. Who knows?
Yeah,
all kinds of strange stuff.
It sounded very
strange.
It was like a man-made thunder gun.
Weird.
That makes sense. All right, moving on. I just thought you guys won't believe me.
I believe you.
Yeah. So, okay, last week we had a kind of a call-in show, which was fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Really fun.
A man named Verax on. It's his AKA name. He came on, and for the first time in his life, he told his very kind of gut-wrenching story that had a real profound effect on him.
Big time.
It's great, and that's last week's episode. So if you haven't heard it,
it's really good.
Testimony starts at about 1:30, as I remember.
Yep.
Well, and so 1 hour and 30.
Yep. About 90 minutes in. Yep.
Right. So, but he sent a heartfelt letter. And do you have a letter? Can you read it? You want me to?
I can have that pulled up here in a second.
I can read it. I don't know if I can see it.
I can probably pull it up here with bigger font that I can read. Okay, hold on a second here.
Oh, I can do it. Here, it says, I want to take the moment to personally thank you both for the profound impact episode 253 of the Untold Radio Network Open Mic Bigfoot discussion had on me. When I tuned in that night, I had absolutely no intention of speaking. But after some gentle encouragement from my wife, who believed it might be helpful, stepped in. And it says, I joined your panel. What unfolded was one of the most vulnerable, unexpected, and healing moments of my life. I mean, that's a powerful statement for someone to be
it is.
About a podcast. He says the safe, respectful, and supportive environment you both cultivated made it possible for me to step out of the shadows and share my experience publicly. Anyhow, it goes on, but it was very heartfelt.
It's a very, very thoughtful and kind email. And
it really was. It's nice to get those.
It was appreciated, and it really was a great experience. It was you could tell it was so cathartic for him.
Yeah,
to just unload all that he's been holding in for so long. It was really cool. It was an honor to be a part of that. It just really made my day to see him be that profoundly changed. I hope he's on the road to healing because it definitely affected him.
Yeah.
So it was really, really a cool moment. I highly recommend everybody watches it. It was a great conversation.
He also does mention, and he also thanks, he said, I also want to thank the remarkable panel, Dr. William Robertson, Flat Rockland, and Carl Sub for their heartfelt response and encouragement. The lineup felt divinely orchestrated out.
That's awesome.
Okay. He had a pretty good read micro font there, didn't I?
Yeah, it's hard to read, man. Holy smokes.
I'm like, it's way below 8 point. It's got to be like 4 point font.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Anyhow, let's see what else we've got. We're going to skip the news because we have the words, but we don't have any of the video or photo. So unfortunately, we're going to skip that. Nothing earth-shattering ever in our news, mainly science stuff and weird goings on. The one thing that was interesting is that scientists found a 78-year-old Neanderthal footprint. And it was interesting because they had the picture.
78,000-year-old.
Yes. And they had a photo of the footprint. And I'm thinking, well, how is that different than all the hundreds and maybe thousands of Bigfoot footprints that we have and have been verified and looked by experts to prove something? With this, totally, for them, it just proves everything about Neanderthals. And that's one reason I wanted to bring it up. So, yeah. But you should look up the story and then think, well, if it tells them that kind of story, one footprint, then why is the Bigfoot footprints that we have tell any story? You know, that's kind of a double standard.
Yeah, well, there's been dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals that have been acknowledged and identified, right, based purely on fossil footprints.
Yes, you're right.
100%.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Why is this different? I agree.
Yeah, that's just something for scientists. If anybody hears this and you're a scientist, please study. Get a hold of Dr. Jeff Meldrum. Study. He doesn't obviously own all of them, but he has a good collection of a lot of them, and study them. Get on board. Mm-hmm. They all tell a story. Sure. All right. Well, let's go right into clip picks of the week.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to narrate them. I think I'm doing really good. My eyes are all tuned in now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what? Let me, just because I have it here, I'm going to play the bumper.
All right. Clip 1. There's no sound. But this is a heron that goes surfing, I think, on a what are those, capybaras?
Capybara, yeah. That's awesome.
It's just awesome. But you
You're
wonder,
taking a ride.
Maybe they're buds. Maybe, that very well could be.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, they could be buds.
They probably are. Animals connect all the time.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Across species. That's so cool. He's just trucking along, taking a ride. I love it.
All right, clip 2. Sound is good. Here's a clip that will definitely cool you off and serves as this week's tech breakdown. This is the tech breakdown I was telling you about. That's 30 seconds long. Go ahead and play it.
Whoop, I played it, but I didn't put it up. Hold on. There we go.
We need sound. Sound, Jeff. Sound.
It's all the way up.
Yes, sound. Don't tell me there's no sound.
Yeah, it's all the way up. Are you not hearing it?
No, there's no sound coming through. Anyhow, he brought a memory foam pillow to go winter camping, and they freeze solid, hard as a rock.
Yeah.
So the tech breakdown today is don't bring memory foam pillows on a winter camping trip.
That's a good tech breakdown.
So there you go. That's a joke, by the way. And no, we're not having tech breakdown because of our technical problems. Clip 3. The sound is good. We'll see if something's wrong here. Maybe.
Yeah, I got full sound here. Let's see here.
No.
You're not hearing sound?
No sound, sir.
Well, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. We're really having tech troubles today. It's so weird.
And everything worked fine for me. Well, I guess that clip's kind of no purpose without sound to that one.
No, there's zero purpose without sound.
Oh, man, what is going on here?
I don't know. I have no idea. Well, all of them, the rest of them need sound, literally. So why don't we just cut that out too?
I guess so.
What do you think is going wrong?
I have no idea. I've had quite a day, so I don't even know.
Try one more.
Fortunately, we have awesome guests tonight.
Yes, we do. Let's go ahead and do clip 10. I'm just curious.
Clip 10? Sure. Give me one second.
Let's just do this. This one I can narrate. It's been really, really hot in Arizona. Check this garbage can out that's melted. It just collapsed. Wow. That's heat. And I'd heard other reports of other people's garbage cans melting.
That's crazy.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, I don't understand. I got audio on my side. Everything's working fine.
I thought you couldn't hear your audio. Last time you told me you couldn't hear any audio.
But I can tell. I can hear. Yes.
Either you can or you can't. Which one is it?
I can hear parts of it. I can tell that it's playing. The long story. I can hear certain frequencies. I can hear voices. I can't hear music. I don't know why. It's something to do with the software.
Well, we're going to get it fixed.
Alex and I had worked on it diligently and cannot figure it out.
That's weird. Well, we'll figure it out.
Either problem with the browser or with the software we're using.
Yeah. All right. Bios. So we have 3 guests. They're all in the green room.
Yes.
They are all from Squatchin Holler, right? Yep. That's also the name of their podcast.
Yeah.
But the cool news is they're moving their podcast to the Untold Radio Network.
Yeah, awesome.
Right?
Looking forward to it.
Yes, and I think they fill a really big niche. I think they'll be very popular on the Untold Radio Network. And let's go ahead and I'm going to read just a little bit for each person.
Sure.
If I can read my little tiny mini font here. All right. So Ashley Range. Ashley unintentionally stepped into the paranormal arena when she joined behind the scenes of the Squatchin Holler show, right? The podcast. And her beloved bestie, Amanda, who is also here tonight. Ashley is an enthusiast who loves talking with people about their experiences and bridging the gap between theory and fact. And that is what Ashley does really well. She's really interested in people. So she's kind of new at maybe the paranormal or the Bigfoot mystery game, but she'll make up for it in her friendliness and her curiosity. All right, next we have Roger Williams. Roger's a Bigfoot witness. He's a Tennessee native, unapologetic truth seeker. Roger brings raw, firsthand experiences to the mic, backed by his official BFRO sighting in Marshall County. He dives deep into encounters, legends, and hidden mysteries of the holler. And Roger's going to explain to everybody what a holler is. And then we have Amanda Stowers. It says Amanda is passionate cryptid enthusiast with deep roots in Appalachia and a particular fascination with Bigfoot. Growing up in the heart of North Georgia, Amanda was immersed in the Appalachian Mountains, where cryptids and supernatural thrive. Her interest is more than academic, and she's had firsthand experiences with cryptids and paranormal. I cannot read this. It says maybe you
paranormal phenomena throughout her life. In 2024, Amanda, also known as the Bigfoot Lady,
yes,
on SM connecting with
social media. She's
connecting with an ever-growing community of like-minded individuals.
Yeah, there you go. You did better than me. I'm just like, my eyes are going crazy.
Yeah, it was quite a day.
If we got hit with more technical problems ever, and I've never, in 254 shows, I've never been hit with that many all at once.
I have outside of here too at work. I've had just endless strange gremlins going on in the last couple of weeks.
That's
just
crazy.
Unbelievable.
All right. Anyhow, back to our guests.
Enough of that crap.
So let's bring on Roger, Ashley, and Amanda, and then we're going to play their new open for the Untold Radio Network. And I don't know, whatever you got to do it.
All right. Although I guess that disclaimer doesn't really apply because they are actually Untold affiliates now. So
there you go.
Anyways, here is Roger, Ashley, and Amanda. Hello.
Wow, look at that.
Howdy. How you like that artwork?
The artwork looks good. You guys look great in your new studio setup. Yeah.
Who did that? Was that
I
you?
did. I did.
Yeah.
You did good. I like it.
Yeah.
Green is a
I
good
guess
touch.
the artist. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I got out of the conversation at the beginning, is what I'm going to take out of this is that somebody was shooting plasma weapons at your emails and it messed up. And
that's exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Clearly, the powers that be do not want us to have these conversations. But
exactly.
That is interesting, and you do wonder sometimes. It's like, out of 254 shows, never had this happen, and all these things combined. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
We just have that kind of effect on people. What can we say?
Yeah. Well, the more that anybody would ever try to stop me, the more I would talk. Anyhow,
that's me.
Same.
I got in more trouble for running my mouth when I was little than anything else. Nothing bad. It was just
I still get in trouble for running.
Well, I've got it queued up. Should we play their new intro?
Yeah, let's do that, and then we're going to talk.
It's awesome.
All right. It's awesome. You're going to love this. Hold on one second here. Make sure I have the right video. Here we go.
Welcome to Squatchin Holler.
In the mist where the trees lean low, Squatchin Holler's got a tale to show. Whispers creep like a creature's faint howl. Every shadow's got a secret to growl. Monsters rise where the stories are told. Squatchin Holler where the legends are born. Are they here? Are they gone? Who can say? In the holler, the truth just slips away. Huge footprints fade where the creek runs thin. A lantern sways, let the search begin. Rustling leaves, but there's no one near. Is it the wind or the beast you fear? Every echo's a question, every rustle's a clue. Squatchin Holler's got its eyes on you. Monsters rise where the stories are torn. Squatchin Holler where the legends are born. Are they here? Are they gone? Who can say?
With your Squatchin Holler hosts, Roger Williams, Amanda Stowers, and Ashley Range. Remember, this podcast can be downloaded everywhere great podcasts are found. And now the show.
Man, how cool is that? That turned out just fantastic.
I could have swore there was a talking Sasquatch in his logo, and I didn't see. Why is that?
Is it the beginning?
In the very beginning, it was.
Yeah, the very beginning.
How did I miss that? I went into another dimension for about 2 minutes.
How do we follow that? I mean,
it's a wrap, guys. We can all go.
It's a wrap. We're done.
Well, that's yet another reason why the Untold Network is kind of the gold standard for what we do. I mean, who else has stuff that everybody on our network has stuff that nice? That's awesome. And that's all Doug. That's all cool. Doug's creative talent there. That's impressive.
That's really good.
I know. I get up the other night and check my phone, and like 2:30 in the morning, he sent me a message like, "Hey, do you like this?" I'm like, "I love it, actually."
It's awesome.
I said, "Does he ever sleep?"
I got that Southern rock feel.
I
just love it.
I didn't get much sleep this week.
He's been working.
Not because of you. It's just, it's all sorts of things.
He's
I'm helping
like
a bunch of conventions and other people. And, you just keep going. And I love to answer all of my emails. I get a little behind once in a while, but I like to get to everybody. And you can sleep when you're dead.
Yeah.
You can sleep when you're dead.
I knew we had a show coming up, and I've been under the weather past 3 or 4 days. So y'all forgive me if I sound a little bit off. So, I apologize.
All right. Well, let's start. Is there any way, Amanda, that you can talk about, you work at a museum?
Correct.
Is that part-time or full-time?
Full-time, actually.
Full-time.
It's full-time job. And that's
Can you talk about it?
I like a lot.
Can you talk about it?
Absolutely. I'll be glad to talk about it.
All right. Well, pitch it. Talk about it.
Yep. So for those who don't know, I work at David Becerra's Bigfoot Museum here in North Georgia, in Blue Ridge, actually. It's called Expedition Bigfoot, the Sasquatch Museum, and we are the original Expedition Bigfoot. I have to throw that little teaser in there. Yeah, I've been working there on and off for about 5 years now. And like I said, I've worked anywhere from corporate to retail to veterinary medicine, even in the oil field in North Dakota for a while. So I've landed at the museum, and it's literally my dream job. So I'm living my best life right now, and I'm very blessed and thankful for it.
I am looking forward to someday chatting with David, because I did see an interview of him once, and he is, man, that guy is brilliant.
He is a brilliant individual. Not only is he, like I said, brilliant in his thoughts and theories and ideas, but also brilliant in his creativeness and how he puts things together. He has an idea, and you can see it and watch it grow and come together. And he's a brilliant individual, and I'm very blessed and thankful to have him as my boss.
Well, John Ayers says that your trailer looked better than most movie trailers. I like that.
That really is awesome.
Well, thanks to Doug.
I love it.
And it didn't get past me some of the musical influence here and there that kind of covered the South, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, I did pick up on that. It definitely had that deep South vibe to it. That's what I love.
Some of it was subtle, but I recognize it. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun doing. I look forward to doing more for you guys. But we're real excited about the show. When do you think we can start?
Well,
is it next Thursday after this one?
Well, we have. If we get everything ready, I think we almost do. We might could put together an introductory show.
Okay.
Get to know the new people and kind of talk about things that whatever. We can plan something like that. But August 7th, we do have a couple of great guests coming.
Okay. So August 7th is the official start.
Probably. Yeah.
Nobody told me, so that's okay.
Well, Alex mentioned it. So, but we, if we get everything the way it needs to be, and we can probably maybe do one next Thursday. But I will want to make sure that we're ready to go. So.
Well, that's awesome. I'm just really excited. When I met you guys, I went, these people are the most kind and wholesome and smart and curious people I've met in a long time. So I'm like, it just hit me. Like, I got to get these guys to come over to our network.
Well, thank you.
Yes, we're truly thankful for the honor to come and join on with you guys, for sure.
And I feel like we don't know enough yet to be scared, so we're good.
On my head, Walter. Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Like everything else, I'm along for the ride. So let's go
for the ride.
Yeah, yep.
Say, Jeff, can you play their intro just the little beginning? I'm curious.
Sure.
He's looking.
He wants to see our talking Bigfoot.
Yeah,
I want to see the damn talking Bigfoot.
It's right in the beginning. Hold on, here we go.
All right.
Welcome to Squatchin Holler.
All right, thank you. I just thought, what the heck? How did I miss that?
I appreciate how anatomical that mouth movement was. It didn't feel wooden or puppety. It actually.
Yeah, I worked on that for a long time. It took a long time to get it just the way I wanted it. So, but there's so many cool tools now, but you still have to be very patient and put a lot of time in.
Yeah.
Tools are only, you can give somebody a paintbrush. It doesn't mean they're going to paint a beautiful picture, right? And AI is just a tool. There was a guy, my dad was an artist, and I got to tell you this story. My dad was an artist. He was lettering a window in gold leaf or something, and a guy kind of walked up behind him and stood there and just watched him over his shoulder. My dad was getting a little irritated probably, and he goes, can I help you? And the guy goes, where did you get that paintbrush?
My dad, Far Side cartoon. That doesn't feel
true story. And my dad, just thought, oh my God, you've been painting for 50 years, and the guy just thought it was the paintbrush doing this great job.
I handed a older gentleman my guitar one time, and he started playing it. And when he got finished, I said, I didn't know it could make those sounds.
Yeah, the guitar made the sounds. Yeah. I gotcha. Okay, well, let's start. I'm Roger. I'd love to hear your story and what happened to you that got you, you got your life changed so much.
Yeah, it started early. I won't get into it. I had recurring nightmares as about 2 years old, and they happen so frequently. They play like a movie now, and I can remember every bit of it. There's a haunted house in Marshall County, but I didn't really think about that. I don't know what it's as a young teenager, I was hunting, fishing, going to school with my friends. No problems that I knew of, and one day, being a country kid, I never stayed in the house much. I stepped out at the right time, I guess, to look at a field in the back there. And I hadn't been out there long. It's a really pretty green field, nothing in between, nothing growing really high. And I saw a figure step out about 170-ish yards. The thing was, because I had walked all over this place, every inch of it, for years, I knew, like, for instance, what my dad looked like coming back from hunting up there. At 5'8", 170 pounds, what he looked like coming around that corner. I knew what I looked like trying to walk in some of that high grass and stuff.
Right.
And this thing stepped out, and people say, well, the first thing I noticed, the problem is the first thing you notice is everything. And that's what scrambles your mind, I think, a little bit, because of course it's the one color, it's the massive size. I didn't know what to look at first, and I was scared. Obviously, I was 14 years old, so I was naively, I thought I was quick enough to get to the side door, at our house, and I almost ran, and I stayed, thank goodness. But this figure stepped out, and there was a limb, thank goodness. We went back later and we measured. This thing was probably somewhere between 7 to almost not quite 8 foot, because the limb was around 8 foot. So it was under it just a little bit. So I don't know exactly, but it was large, very large. Everything was exaggerated, I guess. And I tell people, I didn't look at the arms and say, oh, the ratio is off and this. It just didn't look right for me at that age. I'm like, I've always been curious, and I'm like, what in the world? And so I'm standing there looking at the thing thinking, well, should I run? And I don't know, people say they can sense things or know things or whatever, but it turned its shoulder, and he turned at the waist and looked right at me. And he didn't flinch. He like a deer would have, would be like, oh no, there's somebody there. Or even a person may have looked at me or responded or something. He didn't care. And what he did next, I'm so thankful I stayed, because my whole encounter lasted about 30 seconds. And I didn't think that was too long, but the more people I talked to, it's a pretty good encounter. So
wow.
When he started walking up the hill there, I walked up it several times. I hated to, because of the grass. It was regrowth. It was intertwined and tangled, and the guy didn't bush hog it every year. And when I walked up it, I would have to throw my legs out, up and over. It was such a chore, and leaning forward, because you're going uphill too. So when the first 2 or 3 steps, I was like, what? If y'all ever seen a walking horse in competition, Tennessee Walker, they'll throw their legs up and over, and that. it was like that, but not as exaggerated. But it was right over this grass, and its back was straighter than.
So you noticed the very strange gait, like it was weird.
Absolutely, and the only reason I probably knew that was because of me personally walking up through there, quite a bit. So
right,
I knew what I had to do to get up that hill. Now, me, 3 to 5 minutes would be a good time for me to get up that hill, because I'd have to rest a lot picking my legs up like that. We're talking 15 seconds, 20 seconds.
Wow.
And it went up and out of sight. And, I had a friend tell me, he was interviewing me as a good man. He said something one time, it stuck with me. And he said, yep. So you had the Roger 5 minutes before you saw the Bigfoot. Then you had the Roger 5 minutes afterwards. I said, you're exactly right. Because everything, if this thing is real, what else is real? Of course, that's the first thing you go to. I think I had a few factors going for me, being young and having distance between us. It wasn't terrifying. It was just mind twisting, I don't, Miss Loretta, I really don't. It was built like a male. I'm guessing it was. It was narrow. Well, here's another thing that confused me. It didn't look like Patty. So all the stuff that you'd ever seen of Patty big in the waist area and all that, it was more athletic.
Gotcha.
And people said, well, how much did it weigh? Well, if I look at a hog, I can say, well, that's about a 700 or 800 pounder right there. That's a 200 pounder. Bulls and calves, you're used to weighing and seeing what they weigh. The weight distribution was so different, the shoulders and the biceps and the legs and all. Of course, the butt. I can only guesstimate, of course, but I put a conservative estimate on 600 to 800 pounds.
Wow.
And I know how big 600 and 800 pounds is. So,
big animal. Yeah.
Yeah. So people,
Roger, what was the coloring on it?
It was like a Hershey's chocolate bar, the actual bar. It was all one color. It didn't have any, and that's part of the first noticing. The first things you notice was no neckline, no hat, no blue jeans, no shoes, just all one color. And I've talked to several people when they talk about the smoothness of the walk, the gait, and all this. If you ever put coveralls on and there wasn't perfectly fitting you, you pick up a left leg, it pulls the right down, and it's a struggle. So I would think if you put a suit on, and I know this wasn't, it would be a struggle. That's what I always look at when I see these videos. Like, okay, is this thing struggling to move around, or is it smooth and whatever? And there was no struggle. Yes, actually I have, Miss Arnold. After I told my story publicly, I've had people come to me just like the rest of us here have. Hey, please don't say my name, but thank you for telling your story, because I know I'm not crazy now because of what I heard, what I saw, what happened with my dogs, whatever. And some things you said made my situation make sense. And to put pins on a map, where my sighting was across the interstate, there was a 911 call in the late 90s. I tried to get my hands on that. It's buried in the sheriff's department somewhere. But the chief deputy told me that they had back-to-back Bigfoot calls in the late 90s, which was a mile from my house. So this area and ridge system and all this stuff, there was a Doug. I know you remember what the old frogmen were in Vietnam, the original Navy SEALs.
Yep.
We had a gentleman. He was all about being in nature. After he had to go to war and all that stuff, he just relaxed by being out in the woods. He asked me one morning, probably maybe 10 years after I had the sighting, and I'd gone hunting with him a couple of times. he didn't want to say it too loud. He leaned over. He said, Roger, I had something happen to me a couple mornings ago, and I don't know what to think about it. When Max built the blind, or had a blind, he built it out of sticks. He was an expert in camouflage and whatever, using natural stuff. And so he said that he was sitting there about 3:30 in the morning, had his moccasins on. Sometimes he had his homemade bow, his homemade arrows. He was serious. He said he heard something big coming up behind him. It's pitch dark. He had no lights, and it reached in that blind and grabbed his backpack, which he had on his back, and pulled him to the back of that blind. Now, this man, he was shook up. He wasn't scared because he wasn't built that way. He wasn't built to be scared, but he was shook up. And I talked to some of the neighbors that hunted up there, and they said, yeah, he told us the same story. He kind of quit hunting, and he just observed that place for the rest of his life when he could. He would just be up there in his truck on a hill, wasn't hunting. It wouldn't be hunting season. He was so curious to what, and I told him what I saw, and I was scared to tell him actually. And, but he believed me, and he had this incredible story happen. And there's probably only 2 or 3 people on the planet that knows that story until, we tell it. But yes, have been a lot of, I could get into a lot of stories. I have a friend that was hunting 3 miles probably as a crow flies from that area. He told us a story back then about a 4 foot tall monkey or so was walking along the edge of the woods, and he saw it. And
4
he said,
foot, like smaller.
Yeah, about 4 foot or 4.5 foot. He said, but it was built pretty good. He never mentioned Bigfoot, but he said the hair was greasy and it was clumped together in clumps, tufts all over, and he could see the skin under. And he said, so here he is watching this thing, and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And he noticed the wind was coming right directly from behind him and going up the hill. And he's like, oh, I hope he don't wind me. He said, as soon as he got to that spot, his head went up. His nostrils, he was sniffing, and he turned and looked dead at him in the tree. And he had this scowl on his face. He ended up in self-defense having to shoot this thing in the chest with a 20 gauge shotgun slug. Jumped down out of the tree, and his dad, was whatever he told you was gospel. I mean, this guy didn't exaggerate. He was in the yard when Max shot this thing, and he heard the monkey screams. And Max said it grabbed its chest and started rolling. He was in fear for his life. He said, because when it turned and looked at him, it didn't have good intentions at all. His look on its face was vicious. So, I know people get upset.
Recall what color it was?
It was dark. I do remember him saying it was a dark color. This was a long time ago, and I would love to get him to tell that story. But to this day, I don't think any of us ever mentioned Bigfoot around him. I was thinking it, but so long story short, the pins in the map are getting kind of tight now because of people who are watching shows like this, that like Verax a few nights ago told his story. And I know Verax has been going through some things, I haven't heard the whole story, but I know he has. And now this platform, these types of platforms are making it easier for people to feel comfortable telling those stories. So I'm starting to get some, and we're talking about a small area. If you look at southern Marshall County, North Marshall County, there's not a lot of reports. And the reason is nobody talks. I talked to an investigator today for about 3 hours. He's been doing this for about 50 years. And he said, back in the day when we would bring Bigfoot up, daddy or grandpa or whatever would be like, nope. Everybody knew they were there. But the problem was being here in the South, if you ever got labeled as crazy, you were done for. You'd have to go somewhere else. So it was more of protective of the family reputation.
Yeah.
Than it was anything. But I have tons of stories, y'all, about.
Yeah, well, we'll get to them because I want to hear some more. Ashley, what was your kind of come to Bigfoot moment?
Well, unlike my wonderful counterparts, I'm actually born and raised in the PNW of Washington State.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're kind of
Bigfoot Central.
Yeah, you're kind of indoctrinated from the get-go. And more so just even pop culture, like you kind of know what Bigfoot is in the same way, like everybody knows who Mickey Mouse is, or and so I don't know where it really started as far as just all things paranormal. I've always had an interest, which is ironic because I was a very much a scaredy cat kind of kid. I was scared of literally everything, and yet I would still actively seek these things out. So instead of watching Saturday morning cartoons like a normal kid, I would get up and try to tune in to like the Discovery Channel, because between like 9 and 12 was the only time that they would play the really oddball out there, like documentaries and the reruns of In Search of and all of that. And so Unsolved Mysteries, I mean, just anything that had to do with unknown things, paranormal, ghosts, aliens, cryptids, just whatever, and my stances have changed on a lot of it over the years, and I'm very much open to having my mind changed about anything, which is why this show is so important to me, because I'm all about the discussion. But to kind of go back to that is my heart and my passion is with cryptids. And so especially, as my name tag there would imply, water-based cryptids. I've never had a Bigfoot sighting per se, but when I was younger in a small town called Lake Chelan, I thought I had a water monster encounter. Spoiler alert, I didn't. As an adult, I know now very much what I saw, but at the time when I was a kid, I thought I saw something, and a relative kind of teased me, "Oh, you saw the monster, did you? Oh, there's monsters in the lake." Like, freaking out a little bit, and "Oh yeah, sure, there's monsters in the lake, don't you know, just like Nessie over in Scotland." And it just lit something in me, and I would consume everything and anything that I could get my hands on in that kind of realm. And by all means, Bigfoot and Nessie are two sides of the same coin. They really do go hand in hand, more so than I think most people realize, which is why I'm so excited to be kind of a part of the Bigfoot podcast, because I feel like yes, I'm the Nessie lady, but like there's always room for Bigfoot. And I feel.
Well, what do you think the best evidence for the existence of Bigfoot is? What do you think it might be?
The best evidence, in my opinion, and I've said this before on the Squatchin Holler show prior to your guys' involvement, is the consistency of the reports, especially before the computer age, when you have such distinctive details, such as samurai chatter being reported, where it kind of sounds like a language but not discernible. The smell, everybody knows about the reported smell in Bigfoots across the, whether you're talking a PNW Sasquatch or a southern skunk ape or anything in between. The reports are pretty darn consistent.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think is most compelling for me that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is like people, right? Not every person you meet is going to be nice. Not every person you meet is going to be mean. And we're all completely unique and different. And I feel like Bigfoot are the same. You hear stories of them helping people and being super curious. You hear of instances where they're not, and it's terrifying. And like, I don't know, I just find it that that kind of relatableness too is like, if they were all just cardboard cutout the exact same, I don't know if that would have as much credibility. I don't know if that makes sense, but just the similarities of the reportings, but also the uniqueness of each sighting paints a really broad picture.
Yeah.
And if I might point out,
I agree.
If I might point out, at the risk of sounding extremely juvenile on our kind of first episode here, I think Amanda knows where I'm going with this. I think my favorite piece of evidence is actually at her museum, and I think she knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What is it? A Bigfoot turd?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I was joking.
Yeah,
exactly.
And y'all,
all right,
just so y'all know, we take all these subjects serious, but we don't take ourselves serious. So
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we roll in Squatchin Holler. We don't take ourselves seriously at all.
There are no egos. We're in this to find out the truth. Well, some of us know the truth. We just want to help others.
That's a good segue over to you,
I like
Amanda.
that.
Good segue over to you. Okay. So what was your, come to Bigfoot moment?
Having an encounter with one similar to Roger.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
I grew up here in the Southern Appalachian Mountains here in North Georgia. So in similar ways, I always grew up with a family that was very open to, like, there's things that go bump in the night. There's boogers in the woods is what they called them around here. And that many of my family members and myself included are very in tune to things just on the other side of the veil, per se. And so we just, as Ashley mentioned, I grew up consuming this type of content. I had an aunt who was very much into sci-fi and stuff, so she was babysitting us, and that would be what we would consume. And she's like, "Oh yeah," and then my grandma would be telling us stories about things that they had seen and heard growing up. So I was just immersed in this throughout my childhood. And flash forward to when I was 15, and my brother and my cousin and I, we had an experience with one of these beings. And I refer to it as the carving tree incident because I've had so many incidents, not with just Sasquatch, but with other entities as well, that I've kind of named them to help keep them straight up here. And we, again, growing up here, we had to cut firewood because that was the only source of heat that we had. We were with my father and my uncle, and my uncle had just remarried. And so our new to us cousin, my brother and I wanted to take her to this big tree on the family property that we referred to as the carving tree for just that. We all had gone over the generations and carved our name up on it. And it was way on the other side of this big hayfield. So we were probably quarter mile away from my dad where he was running the chainsaw, and we were up there doing our thing. And so to paint the picture, I was kind of up on this rock, kind of up above the tree. And so I was looking and facing down the hill at my brother because it was on this very sharp embankment. And again, growing up in the woods, we're used to bears and panthers and all these other things that are here in the woods. And my brother all of a sudden is like, "Hey, Amanda, we got to go." I ain't arguing with him. Part of me did say, "Hey, I'm almost done. I'll go in a second." And he's like, "No, we're going right now." And he grabs my cousin's hand and he takes off running. So at that moment, I'm like, I'm not arguing. I jump down and I start taking off running as well. So I'm at the back of the pack of the three of us. I get right to the tree line, and they're a few feet in front of me, and this roar came back from behind me, and it was so loud that it knocked me almost down onto my feet. Now I'm running, trying to catch myself, and I'm covering my ears.
Well, okay,
so
let's back up just for a second. Sorry.
Okay.
You said it was so loud it like almost knocked you back?
Yes, sir. It was all encompassing loud.
Wow.
And the only other way that I can describe how it felt, like the reverberation in it, even though it hit me from behind, is if you've ever been to a big concert and you're right in front of those big speakers and you can feel the sound, just that woo, woo, woo sound to it. That was the only other description way that I could.
So you felt it?
I did. I felt it.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Oof, that's
and
loud.
So I ended up catching my feet, and I caught up to my brother, and I was like, "What is happening? What is going on?" He's like, "I think it was freaking Bigfoot." And we're just all freaking out, and we get up to my dad, and he had never heard anything, I guess, because he was running a chainsaw or something. And he saw us kids was all flustered, and he asked, what's going on with you guys? And my brother explained to him what happened, and he just laughed. He just said, "Oh, you kids done run into the booger, huh?" Like it was no big thing. So rewind a little bit. We had heard stories my entire life from his mother, my Nana, that there was a booger on that property. We never put two and two together that the booger was Bigfoot. We, as kids, had always assumed it was a ghost that was on that property, because there's tons and tons of Native American things in that area. There was used to be a village there very near that property, because we would go hunt arrowheads and stuff. So again, we'd assumed that that's what it was. And we had heard stories of this booger our whole life on that property. And we went and told my Nana the exact same story of what happened to us. And she literally the exact same thing. She's like, "Oh, you kids done ran into that booger, didn't you? That was that thing that run your Uncle Kerm off in the 50s, and he would never go back up to that property." Thanks. Would have been nice to have known a little bit.
That's like the most Nana thing. Like I can hear her say that.
And so in that experience, I did not actually see the creature. My brother did. If I had turned around, I probably would have.
Oh,
am I glad that I didn't?
Regrets.
Yes, kind of. So he described it as much larger than our father, who was well over 6 foot tall, built, because, he's a mountain man. He's slinging a chainsaw all day long. And he said this thing had to have been, foot or more taller than our dad. It was very orangey red, orangutan-ish in color. And the skin under it was a little bit different, which is what caught his attention, was the bright colorness of its fur. When it was up on the bank, he looked up and he saw it with one arm on the tree, and it was the whole rest of it was leaning out to the side.
Wow. And of course, now you work in a Bigfoot museum.
Yes, now I work in a Bigfoot
awesome.
And you do a Bigfoot podcast, and you meet. I can only imagine all of the witnesses that you get to meet during a year.
It's absolutely insane.
It's got to be insane.
One of the most eye-opening and humbling parts of my job. The main portions of it, of course, is running the museum. There's a lot of the retail aspect of it involved, the customer service aspect of it involved, but it is also a research center, and
you got to keep the doors open.
Got to keep that open, and it really is just like it was a safe space for me to visit and realize that it is a safe place to share. It's not there to be, hokey with kooky animatronics and stuff. It is, they do take this subject matter very seriously there.
How many square feet? How many square feet is that museum?
4,000.
Okay.
And 3,000 of that is the museum. The rest of it is storage.
No, it's so cool.
And if I can just interject, there was a time when, so Amanda and I actually had the privilege of going to this museum, just me as a tourist, her as kind of a tourist in her backyard, before you go there. And it's been 10 years, so maybe my memory's a little bit fuzzy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, because I don't want to misspeak for you. But I remember standing there and Melinda being there, and you kind of were opening up about your own experience. And I remember looking at you going, I didn't know that. Like I knew that, but I didn't know that. It was like you weren't really open to telling that story a lot.
I wasn't. You, Ashley, were actually the very first one outside of my family that I'd ever shared that experience with. When you and I were, building our friendship at the very beginning, and we both realized that we had a similar interest. You were the first one that I ever said, just so I might have actually had a Bigfoot experience. And I remember that being the catalyst to me going back and finding where we had made that report and everything. And then flash forward years later, you and I are making that trip to the museum. I'm like, hey, I literally live right down the road from one. Would you like to go with me? And yeah, that was a very eye-opening experience. I remember you and I standing there at the counter talking to David, and I believe it was actually Sibylla who was working there at the time.
Yeah.
And like I said, I wasn't used to opening up about it. Now I've gotten used to it from sharing it on so many different podcasts. But there was something was in the background. I remember it was a video advertisement for a particular movie, and it had this really loud Bigfoot roar that came on. And I remember we were talking, and I was so in the zone there for a minute that roar came on, and I nearly jumped out of my skin.
Yeah.
So now working there,
PTSD,
it's
honestly.
still on point, and I laugh about that to this day still, that I jumped out of my skin at that moment. But it's because it was so real.
BF Bud is here in the chat room. Good to see you, Bud. He went up to Snowgrove with us twice. And the last time that they were there, Bud experienced, I had to leave a day early, so I'm really sorry I did to go to do a convention. But Bud and Chris stayed back with Adam, and they heard that what they called a thunder knock, which they felt the percussion from at Snell, right by the cabin, broad daylight. They said it was like a grenade going off or a bunch of sticks of dynamite. And that's so weird. I'm like, God, I wish I would have been there for that. And before that, they had pine cones thrown at them.
That's crazy.
And they got
we were sharing a lot of stories when you were interviewing on our show originally, Doug, of of adventures with Bigfoot up at that cabin, all the encounters you guys have had there.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyhow, I saw Bud here and I went, oh yeah, let's bring back memories. I was talking with somebody about Snell today that wanted to go there and then found out they couldn't get off work. It's quite, and I'm like, thank God I don't have to go. So, okay, collectively, you guys do realize that what you do is important. You're not doing it for the money. You're doing it because you're literally helping the future generations of people who are witnesses, people who are curious that can get decent information. You're raising the bar for there's historic reasons you're doing what you're doing. I hope you know that.
I didn't realize it at first, but it hit home pretty quickly when I started getting private emails and calls and texts, and I'm sure Amanda probably deals with it way more than I do. And I know how I felt when I finally just purged it out. I was talking 100 miles an hour, scared to death the guy was going to hang up on me. And so we did a show, and I ended up for a few episodes co-hosting with him, and I loved asking the questions because I'm trying to learn. And
exactly.
I did not expect the people I would meet and how it would help them, how he helped me,
But you're learning, but you're sharing while you're learning.
Exactly.
That's what's so cool about this. Like, even us just talking tonight, people are here to learn. That's why they're here. They're not here because they're trying to be entertained. We're competing with 1,000 other, 2,000, 3,000 other, venues for entertainment. They're here because they want to learn, not because they really want to be entertained.
Well, and also we've talked about that before, where Bigfoot himself, even outside the PNW, is such a pop culture thing. I think even in the deepest, most concrete jungles, you'd say Bigfoot, and most people can conjure up some kind of imagery. But sightings of paranormal things in general aren't just in the forest. People are seeing strange things in the city, in the mountains. In the daylight, as you just said, Doug. Like, for me, this whole thing is just open conversation. We should be able to talk about it. It shouldn't be I do this to you every time, Amanda. What's the quote? What's the Heiser quote?
Oh, Dr. Heiser's quote. Yeah, the world is stranger than we think, and it should not be strange to think. And I'm going to interject on that as well, that's 100% agree with what you were saying, Ashley, and that quote as well. And that's what's so great about shows like this now and having different podcasts and things like that. It was hearing different people coming on and talking about these subject matters and sharing their experiences that made it comfortable for me to finally share about it. And now look where I am.
Yeah.
So it's such a great tool, and we have these tools now to be able to share this knowledge and for everybody to learn collectively at the same time. That it's a great time to be around and be alive, to be a part of it.
And
we've said it a handful of times. Like I've said this a handful of times anyway, but like the things Amanda and I got bullied for and made fun of and shoved in lockers when we were a kid, it's kind of popular now. So it's like, well, at least as long as we're having that conversation, that's
exactly. If we can have this conversation now, so little girls, like little girl me, who was getting picked on for reading these kind of books as a kid, doesn't get that later on and know that she's the cool kid still, I'm doing my job.
And in a lot of ways, this is real. We're kind of living through a correction in humanity. I mean, all this stuff was talked about pretty openly up until 100, 150 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just really silly to think that people 100 years ago weren't sophisticated. They sure were. They had less technology.
And that always
just as smart, just as sophisticated.
That always intrigues me is, when did it not become okay?
I don't understand.
You know what I mean?
Well, they were closer to the source. They didn't question, just because they didn't like to talk about things for whatever reason. We say, didn't want to think that they were crazy, which is more than likely, but also superstitiously, don't talk about it. Don't invite it in. Don't give it, people don't talk about these things for a lot of reasons. But I think when you grow up and when I say grow up, I mean, generationally speaking, if you go back 50, 100, 150 years, like what you were saying, Amanda, with your Nana and your father, like, oh, you saw it's just common knowledge. So
I know.
I just think we get further away from that.
One of the most amazing days I've had in the past couple of years, my wife's family they have a cookout. It's on the lake, and I don't want to say too much. Some of her family has land close to the lake, and everybody goes down there. Well, when I went in, I had just started doing this, and I went on Jeremiah's show, and I walk in, and there's a lot of old people sitting around this table, and the guy come up and said, "Roger, before you leave, these people want to talk to you." I'm like, "About what?" And it said, "Bigfoot. They heard your show." I'm like, "These are way out of the demographics. They're 80 something years old." And
those are the people I want to talk to.
So exactly, that's what. And so when you hear stories from them, I sat there all day, y'all, and they didn't know what 40s and 50s they were dealing with these things. They didn't know the word Bigfoot.
Right.
They called them the big monkeys, and that's just one county over. They were sitting there like we are. Hey, remember when Uncle so-and-so had that happen? Yeah. You remember when Fred, you remember when Aunt Sally? And they had to change how they did things to live and get along. Their hunting changed, where the one guy said, yeah, we took the hunting dogs and we'd let them out. If they stayed gone more than 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh, did we lose him?
He froze.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. He'll unfreeze.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you freeze. You have to unfreeze. So
well,
just be glad. Just be glad he wasn't doing this or something.
Did I freeze up? Sorry about that.
Oh, there we go.
There you are.
You're back. I send you a text.
But I don't know.
Can I just point out it's very Brady Bunch?
Yeah, it's that way.
But
yes.
But I love talking to the older people because they haven't been tainted by the new information. They haven't been swayed to maybe their memory was this or that. And what's funny is, y'all said earlier, they're just matter of fact about it. You know, they're like, oh, you finally saw the booger, right? Or yeah, well, I told y'all about that. Y'all didn't believe me, so I had a wonderful day taking reports, not officially. And all of those people but one are gone now.
Oh wow.
And I didn't know that. I called the guy. I'm like, hey, you think a couple of them would want to talk on camera? He's Roger, all those people you talk to, except me, they've died in the past couple of years. I'm like, oh Lord. Oh. So that's another thing. Documentation of history, oral, whatever. This is part of that also. We can tell a story that somebody passed on to us, and it'll be on the internets out there somewhere. So, but seriously, I feel that hit me. That responsibility was like, I realized that one day. I'm like, oh, I need to do a better job. So
it'll hit you real hard, won't it?
Yep.
So can you guys name all of the different names down south for these things? Can you just kind of do a laundry list?
Ooh, Lord.
I know booger's one of them. Swamp ape, skunk ape,
swamp ape, skunk ape,
wild
boogers,
man,
wood boogers, wild man,
yeah,
monkey men,
hairy man,
devil monkeys.
Keep going.
Wood boogers, monkey men, devil monkeys. The shag. I heard somebody call it that once.
The shag. I've never heard
that.
Yeah,
that was a local name. Old Nobby. The red man.
I heard old Nobby.
Old red eyes.
Red eyes. Yeah, that's good.
Just a devil. The devils. Demons. You throw those in. Insert devil on anything. Just about. You have a name for it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think you hit a
so
few of
many
them.
local names in these areas.
Yeah,
like I said, they didn't have names for them until Bigfoot ended up collectively becoming the term for these creatures. After it was coined in the 50s.
Yep, it's amazing to hear. You can go. We talking about hollers. You can go over 2 or 3 hollers, and people, 70 years ago called them something different than somebody on a different street or a different road. And that's why it's so confusing. And talking to a lot of our Native American friends, a lot of this stuff we're talking about the same things. We're just calling them by different names.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I feel like it's important for the communication there. Also, I've got some wonderful friends that have been sharing some stories with me from their culture. And there's a lot of things they can't. And I understand that. I respect that. But it's really, of course, we're past the point of trying to prove they're real. That's not what we're doing. We're just trying to figure out what they are, when they do certain things, maybe. And another part of it is, I keep going back to, why can't we talk about this? Who doesn't want us talking about this, and why? Does it lead to other things? Which I think it does. And so, we've had conversations about the truth not being able to be told because of certain reasons. I feel like that some of this is connected in ways that we don't understand. I think some people have good ideas, but I believe that might be part of it, if that makes sense.
Do you guys all kind of have an open mind on what they are? Do you guys all have different beliefs? Not that it matters, but I would imagine from what I gather, you guys are all kind of open-minded to whatever. They're real, but you don't know exactly what they are.
Right.
Exactly.
I think we'd be wealthier.
If I have, when I first saw that one, I had any other idea that it could be anything other than flesh and blood.
Yeah.
The more I've been out in the woods, the more I've talked to people, and actually just from my experiences, I have to leave the door wide open because nothing would surprise me at this point. So
yeah, kind of where I'm at too.
Same. Well said, Roger.
Bud's a good guy. Patrick's a good guy. That's good people.
So Roger, what you mentioned earlier, what exactly is a holler? How would you describe a holler?
So the way I understand it, and that's another thing, depending on which holler you're in, is what kind of description you're going to get.
Exactly.
a holler to me is a draw. You know, you go up, there's hills on both sides probably. And you can, the nearest neighbor is a holler away. So you could, if you needed help, you could holler, you know, down. But what I see in my mind when you say holler is a dirt road running back into the hills. You don't know where it goes. You're surrounded by these large hills here. And now some people say hollow. I don't know what a hollow is. but you know, the holler, that's what I picture. And there are a lot of hollers.
So here's what I knew. It's a valley between two mountains, or a dip between two hills.
That was my understanding too.
Yeah, that was always that came from a guy that I asked that when I was a kid. I was down in Alabama, and he kept saying holla, 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 and he would just say holla, holla. I'm like, what the hell is a holla?
Well, and it'd be like, you know, we're going to do that up in my holler, not his holler. So just go till you find the party, you know.
As the token Yank here, I will say that it was always described to me. So Doug, you just mentioned holler. Again, I could be wrong. This is how it was explained to me. Holler being the abridged version of hollow, and it was a snug community similar to like the hollow of a tree, and you might have like some woodland creatures in there or something. That's how it was described to me. So likewise, what you're saying, a community, a village in between two kind of mountains, you would probably have a gathering of people, not too dissimilar to a hollow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge
Can
part.
somebody ask AI and then copy and paste it into the?
Actually, that's a good idea.
That actually would be kind of fun.
I'm just curious
what it says.
You got to spell it right. H-O.
Jeff, you're on it, bud. Yeah. I nominate you.
Yeah, because for me, from my neck of the woods here, a holler was exactly that. You know, it's the area between two ridges, because here, at least in Appalachia, as Ashley and Roger can attest, you know, at least the settlers, when they would first settle here, 90% of the time it was in a valley area with water that would run through it. What made these hollows, the hollows in the valleys, water. So they usually would settle in the valley between the waters or between the mountains. And I remember driving back roads when I was a kid and be like, oh yeah, my Nana would be like, oh yeah, that's Stanley Hollow, because that was where the Stanley family settled and originated. Oh, that's Stover Holler, because that was where they settled. So if you just, you know, oh, we're going to be up on that holler over there tonight, or, you know, it's in that holler over here. It was just a descriptive term for a particular area that just kind of stuck. And hollow most likely is the correct pronunciation, but especially the Scotch Irish were very strong in adding either an R or an A. So like your guy in Alabama calling it a holla, that's appropriate as well as holler. So you'll hear it interchanged down here depending on which dialect you're getting.
Well, we're getting some interesting. Here's another one.
I asked Grok. Virex, I must ask Grok too, because he had pretty much the same thing that I said. So it says, a holler is a term primarily used in the Appalachian region of the United States to describe a small, narrow valley or hollow, often nestled between hills and mountains. It typically refers to a secluded, sheltered area with a stream or creek running through it, surrounded by steep ridges or slopes. So,
yeah, and that's where you're going to want to live, right? You're going to want to build a cabin in a holler.
And
we don't have terms like that in Minnesota. We don't have. There's no valleys in Minnesota. Minnesota's pretty.
You just got 1,000,001 lakes up there.
Yeah. So yeah.
When I was trying to come up with a name for this, I didn't know anybody else's name or whatever. I wanted to, something that was catchy, and I was writing down a few things, and I had Squatchin down, and my son said something, but at the end of it was holler, and I'm like, you know what? That could be anywhere. Great. That could be anywhere. So I came over and I looked at the other list and I said, Squatchin Holler. That could be anywhere in this country. So So it kind of, you know, it's not locked down to one spot. You know, the hollers even, and to get more confusing, you know, Southern goodbyes are like, Amanda, we'll holler at you later.
Yep.
So I love that stuff. And I'll tell y'all may not be interested in this, but you're talking about the settlements. When I was helping a guy out one time and he was talking about, you ever wonder why all the little towns are 9 miles apart and all the bigger towns are so many miles? And I'm like, what? I've never noticed. You go look at the map. Mm-hmm. So we all settled around water, but we also had our travel ways. We were if you were traveling by horse, 9 miles that you need to stop for water. Mm-hmm. So in a whole day, it might be, you know, a certain amount of miles a horse can go in a day. And then you have the bigger towns and whatever. And I'm like, that's no way. And I went and started looking at the map and I thought, well, I'll be dang. Either he made that up or it's pretty consistent.
I heard the same thing actually, Roger, growing up as well. They said that it's either between 9 to 15 miles if you look in most areas down here. That's about how far most towns or settlements are from each other.
Now I never thought of it before, but what? I know so many like 9 Mile Falls or 9 Mile Road or 9 Mile Stretch. So that's kind of
9 and 13. Also, now you can just judge it by how many Dollar Generals are between you and but it's easier.
You're not wrong. Where'd my cornbread just about come out? You ain't wrong.
Yeah, I have to.
We have them in Washington now. It's crazy.
Oh, y'all can have some of ours. No, they're pretty good. They're good for what they are.
I have one just on the road for me. They're all over Minnesota now.
Yeah, you know, my son, you know, I created a monster. His sense of humor is crazy. But we were riding down the road one day, and he said, "You know, I think I figured out how that happens." I'm like, "What?" He said, "That new Dollar General wasn't here yesterday, but it rained." He said, "I bet it's the receipts. You need to keep your receipts. If you get a receipt, get away from it, and it rains on it, and a new one pops up." I'm like,
I like that.
I'm like, what in the world? Where did that come from?
I like that.
That's good.
I like that.
I'm going to remember that.
So keep your receipts in your pocket, please. So anyway,
they do seem to pop up everywhere. Every small town's got one around here.
Overnight too.
All right, Amanda, you work in a Bigfoot museum. What's the weirdest story that you believe that you've ever heard? I'm not talking about some nut walking in telling you somebody you thought was sincere, but it was kind of scary or kind of weird.
Oh, I got a good one for you.
Okay, so tell it.
I have two.
Okay, put it full. Jeff, hang on. We're gonna get you full camera so you can.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Here we go.
And I'm sorry, I'm
big show
because I talk with my hands.
Take over.
Say David. I'm referring to David Becerra, the owner of the museum.
Okay.
So he had this really bizarre encounter that was shared with him early on in the museum days, and as I've been working there, it's always just been like, oh, I want to get just that one just crazy story, and it finally happened about a year ago. I was doing my part. So us being a museum attraction, we do kind of like a little talk as people are going to go in, kind of like the old sideshow attractions. Like, and if you go this way, you will see this. So I was doing that part with these two older ladies who was coming in, and they seemed like, two best friends. And I was wearing the museum logo shirt, and I don't have it near me right now for a visual, but the museum logo for Expedition Bigfoot Museum is split in half. It has a face, one half being the physical creature Sasquatch, and the other half is a tribal mask.
Oh, cool.
And on the side with the tribal mask, it has almost like dreadlocks off of it. And I was doing my speech, and these ladies, they were just kind of talking and whispering back and forth. And I said, well, you got ladies, enjoy your tour. And she's like, you're going to think that we're crazy, but I've seen something that looks just like this. And she's pointing at my shirt, which isn't the first time I've had people, point at it and they've seen that. but she was pointing at the tribal mask part of it. And I said, okay. And so she was describing, those dreadlocks, and they were talking back and forth. And she's like, yeah. She's like, no, I don't want to tell her. She's going to think that we're crazy. So long story short, she ended up sharing with me this crazy encounter that they had. They were in Colorado, and one of the friends, she's Native American. So they were at a powwow, and it was actually a pretty large one. And they were at the bonfire, and they said that they were kind of in the back of the crowd, but they could still see, up into it and see the fire and everything. And they got this like ooky sixth sense kind of feeling, the back of their neck, enough to where they both turned and looked. And there's a Sasquatch standing there beside them, and it's looking down at them, and it's kind of smiling and grinning a little bit like, yeah, you see me. You can see me. And they're just kind of in shock, because not only is it standing there, but it's also wearing clothes. And I regret to this day, I didn't ask them if it was fitting or non-fitting. They did say that it looked really rough and dirty, almost, for lack of terminology, like a homeless guy, as they described it. The buttons were all haphazard and everything. And as they're looking at this Sasquatch, and it gives them that, yeah, you can see me kind of look, it walks on into the crowd in front of them. And as it's going, it's shrinking and transforming into a human.
Wow.
Wearing those clothes.
Okay, good night, everybody. Good night. Good night, Amanda. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
I ain't never heard that before.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Might need to rethink some things.
That's crazy.
But
you know what?
What's crazy is with that too is that they're looking at each other like, did that really just happen? And they look over at the guy who's standing beside them, and he's standing there like with his jaw wide open.
Okay.
Because he's like, so they wasn't.
But you met her. You met her in person. Yeah. You met her in person.
Spoke to her in person. They went through the museum, and they came out, and they shared the exact same thing with my coworker and I. So, and my face, like, I have to watch myself. As you can tell, I'm a very much an animated person. So I'm trying to keep my face straight, because, this lady is sharing something that she's like, nobody's going to believe me. Y'all think I'm crazy. We were talking about, sixth sense and having a second sight, third eye, that kind of subject matter. And so.
All right. Just stop a minute now. I'm going to do something.
Okay.
How many people in chat believe that story? And Amanda said,
oh yes, I'm excited to see. I want to see this.
She met this woman face to face, and it was an older lady or a younger lady, or
I would say middle age. I'd probably say 56. Their hair was gray.
Okay, but she was dead serious when she told.
Oh, 110%.
How many people believe the story? Okay, so we got, I do. Yeah, thumbs up. Spot. Let's see here.
A lot of
them. Yeah. Another hand raise. I do. Richard, I do. Gary
so
Spikes.
Amanda,
Bud says I do.
There's a similar story, and I thought David had told this story, but we taken so much of this content. I could literally be pulling this from anywhere, but it's not a standalone story.
No.
Can you help me recall the one about the kids in the van? And they
yes, that's the other one. The one that David had shared with him, that I was telling myself earlier that I wanted to have something similar, and boy did I.
Y'all, I'm about to leave. This one's scary.
Okay, but Roger, do you believe that story? It's a yes or no.
You can say no. It's okay.
You can say no. It's fine.
Well,
you can say no.
It's not an easy answer, because I believe them. I just don't know what they saw.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. You've got two witnesses there telling you the story. Plus you got a third guy. You don't know if he exists or not.
Right.
But he saw something. So I don't I have to keep an open mind.
Somebody called you a fraidy cat.
I know. Gary knows.
Plot twist. It was actually a dog man transitioning with
but
clothes.
I'm like Amanda, I have to keep a poker face sometimes. But then what's funny is
why would it be that weird? And I've thought about this too. What if they found clothing in the woods? God knows there's plenty of homeless people that leave their clothing in the woods.
Right.
What if it just observed and just tried them on and just...
I mean, there's been plenty of reports of people seeing these things at their clothesline and that kind of stuff, messing with the clothing or seeing them. And, the story I took, the one that David's taken, which I can share with you guys if you want to hear. He himself has taken several reports of them wearing like a coveralls, like they've pulled all off of somebody.
All right, well, go ahead and tell them.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted me to. So again, this is David's story, so I don't know if I miss all the details or not, but it was one again up here in North Georgia, and it would have been in the 70s. This gentleman was a geriatric gentleman who came into the museum, and this was when David and his wife were still running the show there. So it was in the early days. And this the gentleman came up to David with his family and said, "Hey, I have a story that I need to get off of my chest before I'm not here anymore." And David's kind of watching, and he's listening to the gentleman talking, but he's also watching the people around them too, the son and the grandkids and everything. And they were watching, looking at David saying, "I dare you to make fun of my grandpa," while he's sharing the story. And so the grandpa's sharing a story. It would have happened probably around the 70s, because they were, him and this guy and a couple of their other high school friends were in this van going up a mountain up here to go do what teenagers do in the 70s. And they had the gentleman, I'm just going to call him Gary. I'm going to say Gary was driving, and he had his sister in the seat, in the passenger seat, this new kid in the seat behind him, and there were a couple other buddies back there. So the new kid was, a friend of a friend, and was kind of shy and kind of reclusive, kept himself. He didn't really know him that well, but he's like, hey, they invited him, so yeah, he can come on along. Anyway, they were driving the van. He was driving the van up the mountain, and it was dark, and the sister was talking to him, and she turned. Everybody in the back, I'm getting my timestamps messed up. Anyway, everybody in the van started freaking out, absolutely freaking out.
Okay.
And the sister turns, and she starts screaming and freaking out, enough for him to stop the van. Somehow he hit with his arm or his elbow the switch to turn on the light for the interior light, and he turns around and he sees where this kid was sitting is now a Sasquatch of similar size in that boy's clothes, the same clothes that boy was wearing. As everybody in the van is freaking out, the Sasquatch too is now absolutely freaking out. He's like, what is happening? Why am I here? What is happening? And the gentleman jumps out of the van. Everybody jumps out of the van, and somehow or another, I forget the details, David shares it way better, they get back into the van, and the boy is back. They see the Sasquatch disappear and the boy reappear. And he has no recollection. The boy does not remember leaving or anything. He's just like, why is everybody freaking out? And there was 2 young girls, teenage girls, who were also in the back seat. They had to actually go to Atlanta for therapy because of this incident, to try to process what they saw and what they did, went through with this incident. And that was a particular incident that David, it says that he'll never forget talking to that guy to this day, him sharing. He said The man was absolutely dead serious. His family who was there with him was dead serious. And he wishes he could remember more details about it. And I know I'm absolutely butchering the story, but that's basically the gist of it.
But did David tell that story on a documentary? Because I saw it and I waited, was this your boss? And she said, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 90% sure it was Paranormal Bigfoot, not the Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot, but there's another one out there that's just called Paranormal Bigfoot. I'm about 90% sure it's on that one that he shared that story. I know he's been interviewed in several documentaries, and he's shared this one quite often on different podcast interviews and things like that he's done as well. So those are my two absolutely crazy,
strange,
out there ones. I have tons of other ones people have shared to me, like they've pew-pewed one, point blank range, and it not even phase it. Yeah. And just classic ones.
How about people that have been like grabbed or dragged or touched in their tent while they were in their tent? Any of those kind of things?
Not any that come to mind right off the bat, but I'm pretty sure if I looked through my records, I probably would have something. I know David, he's got thousands upon thousands.
Do you guys like take the reports and then put them up on a board, or do you keep track?
Some we do, yes.
Okay.
The pin map.
Yes, the pin map. Yeah, there's a map with pins. They got several maps in the museum, and
Amanda, didn't Sibylla put your pin on the map the first visit? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, she did. Whenever you and I were standing there at the counter talking to her and David, she wrote it a little tiny Post-it note and stuck it on the board there. Yeah. So they have a map of the Chattahoochee National Forest, which is the north corner of Georgia here. That's our national forest area map. So it's a USGS map that they have at the museum, and they have different pins that they have different ones that come in. I've actually had the privilege of putting some pins up on there, and inside the museum they actually have a full-size maps of both Georgia and Florida, zoomed in, of all the different pins as well, not the individual stories like they do on the one, but yes, it's pretty fascinating to see it in front of you with all these pins. And people are asking me, it's like, oh, is there Bigfoot seen it? People come in all the time, is there anybody seen Bigfoot in this area? I just kind of do like that, point at the map. There you go. It's right there, and start that conversation with them.
And then Ashley, you live in the Pacific Northwest. Do you think that most people out there kind of buy into the Bigfoot mystery? Or do you think there's still skeptics out there too?
Again, I think most people think of it pop culturally, and I think they're kind of aware of it. So I think people want it to be real, especially up here in the PNW. I think a lot of people want to think of it as like the guardian of the forest, and this kind of very Disney-esque, family-friendly kind of flesh and blood creature. I think too, but to go hand in hand with that, I think once you are aware of something, it does help you kind of process, similar to Amanda's story when her brother says, I think it was a freaking Bigfoot, and to even have like some kind of frame of reference. So I think up here in Washington, the PNW, it's not that most people like, oh, just inherently believe that there is a Bigfoot, but aware of a Bigfoot. And it does make the conversations a little bit easier to have. I think
it would be really interesting to interview 100 people in the Pacific Northwest. What is your, do you believe that Bigfoot is a real creature?
You'd probably get the majority. I think a lot of people have weird instances in the woods where I don't think your average Joe is aware of like what a wood knock is, or when pebbles or things get thrown. And so I think more people are having experiences that they can't explain, and they may not put those two and two together with Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. But I think most people want to believe in Bigfoot, therefore they kind of will. I also have a theory. I can't remember if I talked about this on one of our episodes, Roger, but my theory is anybody who's spent any time in the woods, whether it's the Appalachian woods or the woods here in Washington, PNW, whatever, I think everybody has been within feet of a Bigfoot, whether you knew it or not. Like, that's my working theory. I think these things are everywhere. They're not elusive. They just choose to be elusive for us. But that's my theory, that they are
That's a good theory.
way more frequent.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I just was agreeing with you. I think you're right. I absolutely think you're right. But please continue. I'm sorry.
No. I just, that's kind of my working theory. So I'm going to try to say two things here at once, and I hope this makes sense. So you get these people who go out into the woods and research for Bigfoot, looking for Bigfoot, which is so, oh, that's my turn to be on the screen. That's weird. Okay. No pressure. Which is important. People should be out in the woods looking for these things. I mean, I do believe that great serious research can happen, and we do need to do this. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not putting any TV show down. I'm just saying it's a balance. It's a fine line, because if you go out looking for these things, you're making noise, you're creating a digital footprint with your technology, either sound waves or radio waves, or even just the small hum buzz of electronics. I mean, your very presence is disrupting nature. So while, yes, you can be out there and maybe you might find something, it is going to, by looking for it in its natural habitat, you are actually disrupting it. I guess I don't know how that makes sense. My biggest pet peeve when it comes to, like, say, Loch Ness research or just any water cryptid in general, I've been saying this for years, is like, oh, well, they scanned the whole lake. There was 20 boats on the lake surface, and they scanned the whole thing and didn't find anything. Well, if I were living in a lake and I heard 20 boats just, flying over me, I wouldn't be anywhere near it either. So I think when people come at us with, oh, you think you're going to find a Bigfoot, or you think you're going to find a Nessie or whatever, a lot of the research collection isn't just necessarily looking for the creature. And I've said this 100 times. It's creating this kind of profile of what we're looking for: nesting habits, family ritual habits, dietary habits, lodging, things like that. It's building the whole picture. So I kind of went on a tangent, forgot what I was saying, but just um, that when you are in the woods looking for these things, I think they're there more often than we would probably be probably more so than we're comfortable admitting or acknowledging.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think of all the times, I guarantee people have walked past footprints, or they've walked past scat. They're not looking for it, or they don't know what the difference between, I mean, because it's funny because you mentioned earlier about the poop in the museum, but you can tell a lot about an area by learning what the poop looks like. You can tell a lot about what animals are there, what they're eating, all kinds of stuff. People don't look for that. They just see a pile of whatever, but yeah, you have to look for it. I agree with everything you just said. That's really a good take on it.
And like Roger said, we're not necessarily, people like us aren't looking for these things to prove they exist per se. If you've had an experience, or even if you're close enough with somebody you trust, care, know who's had an experience, you don't need the proof that they're there. People like us, speaking generally, are more so just trying to unlock more of the puzzle, trying to put together more information about these things, as opposed to finding the smoking gun. I know this gets thrown out there quite a bit, but the same thing, why do we not find bear carcasses in the woods? We know bears exist, or, Amanda, you know that, well, you too, Roger. But like, if you're in the woods, look up. Like, from as young as I can remember camping, my father would always say, don't just be looking in front of you, always look up and be aware of your whole surrounding, not just what's directly in front of you. And mainly that was for, like, bears and cougars and stuff, like, but it's true. I really don't think most people, what's the saying, can't see the forest through the trees if you're not looking for something.
Yeah.
Yep. And it only takes, being a hunter all my life, it only takes a split second for something to hide from you. I've done it to other hunters, turkey hunting in full camo, and somebody could be coming along and just move behind a tree and stop and let them walk on by, and then never knew I was there. And I had a kid ask me one time, you think they know when we're in the woods? I'm like, it's their job to know. You're in their living room.
There. That's their house. Absolutely.
The squirrels know you're there. The turtles know you're there.
That's their life.
They know
way better than we ever could, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask everybody this question, and everybody can kind of answer. Start with you, Roger. And it was real interesting because I had a debate the other night. It was like 3 a.m, and I'm debating with this guy because I mentioned to him, because he would go out alone a lot researching. I just said, well, I'd be careful going out alone. You never know. And he had mentioned he had numerous encounters. And I just mentioned, you're probably safe, but there's that maybe 1% chance you may run into one that's not so friendly. And he thought they were all friendly, but I don't know. And I said, it's kind of hard to assume that. But what do you guys stand on their demeanor? Do you think they're dangerous, not dangerous? Most are safe. They're afraid of us. Do you think they're not afraid of us? I mean, just kind of the whole thing. Where's your mind at, Roger?
I'm lucky enough to know personally at least 4 people that live with these things in the area.
Right.
And depending on who you talk to, you'll get different answers. And so that tells me you may have different things going on. I feel like from what I've heard and what I've learned and what I've experienced, I've never felt threatened, but something that big, it doesn't take but 3 bad seconds for you not to be here anymore if it wants you,
Right.
So I feel like with the things that have happened to us, I think they just want to be left alone. If they're pushed into it with some of the stories we hear from Native Americans about the living together, trading, or like you stay over there, we'll stay over here. I feel like they're like us. Having a store on the interstate, I saw people from all over the world, and 95% of the people that came in there were good people.
Right.
The other 5% made it tough and that's why you got to keep your head on a swivel. So we raised like 100 dogs one time over years, and out of that 100, we maybe had 3 crazy ones. So if you're an animal and humans, it's not like a motorbike sitting over there. You get on a motorbike, you turn the key, you start it up, and you tell it where to go, point it in the direction. With animals, I don't care if it's your dog you've had for 7 years. If something happens in their mind naturally, the dog may not know what it's doing. It may bite you. I feel like animals and people, everything reacts to pressure differently. And I've talked to different people that know some that have been pushed out of the family group, and some have been because they were not very friendly, and some have been because they gotten older and the natural thing that happens there. But first off, I'm gonna say I don't know for sure, but from what I've experienced and the people I've talked to, and people, they jump on me. They're like, they'll see me in a video and I'll get out and I'll have my pew pew, like Ashley said earlier, and look, I know y'all gonna jump onto me for having this, but here's the thing: the ones that are going to jump onto me are the same ones that'll say they know your intention. Well, if they know my intentions, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
So if I step into the wood, even now hunting, it's weird how your life changes, how you do things. I walk out of my friend's Greg's house at night sometimes. I'm like, hey, we're just going to the truck. Don't throw anything at her. So I'll before I step in the woods, I'll quietly,
right,
say what we're here, what we're there for. So that's a long answer.
well, it is and it's not. I always just though think there's even if it's 1/10 of 1%, bad one, that could be really an issue.
Well, exactly, because if you take 10 Chihuahuas that bite 10 people, and then you take one large breed then they're going to get all the publicity because they did the most damage. So, like I said, when knowing how big the one I saw was, well, I've actually seen one for sure, 95% on another, and if you're standing, it's like Greg says, if you're standing in a zoo and outside a cage and you're looking at the gorillas,
right?
That's a different thing than falling into the cage and being in with the gorillas.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the power of these any animal, animals are stronger than you think they are.
Yeah.
Y'all know that. I've seen small animals cause a lot of trouble. So I guess in my mind, knowing how large they are, and I've heard of them getting twice that tall. You're right. Any encounter that's not a favorable one could end bad, for the humans, I guess.
Well, yeah, and if they're intelligent and fearful of us, that's one reason they stay out of trouble. But I'm still alive. I've had a lot of close encounters where they're throwing things, but they never hit you. But I always wonder, what if you catch one on a really bad day?
Exactly.
Where it stepped in a thorn and
and
it had a fight with its wife and its kid got lost. And,
there's a lot of compelling evidence that I found about that. And this is why I kind of always ask what color, because they come in a very and Amanda could tell you more, but very
interesting.
Wide range of color patterns. And there's actually some pretty strong evidence to assert that the reddish colored ones, ironically, are more aggressive and territorial and maybe more instinctual or feral.
I've got some redheaded friends, and I would agree with that 100%. Probably.
I was actually thinking more of because as a former veterinary assistant, you see that in other animals, especially cats. Domestic cats. The red ones are usually orange are usually more crazy, and the black ones can be more chill. Yeah. Calicos are 99.9% always female. Just these little traits that go along with it. So that's actually an interesting theory. I haven't actually thought of that.
I've never heard that.
And a part of it, and I actually have a little bit of insight on that. I think part of that is due to how the other Sasquatch or other animals treat them. And I can give you a good example of that.
Please do.
I've got a lot of experience with
redheads are often shunned throughout all culture species.
Well, I have a ton of experience with the white-tailed deer, watching white-tailed deer up close. Lots and lots and lots of experience. We had feeders, the house, and whatnot. Piebald deer, piebald deer with
the multicolored. Yeah.
They get bullied. They get bullied by the other deer. They are not treated well by the other deer, so their personalities are noticeably very different, and they're treated they're almost treated like second class. They're low on the totem pole. That could be a factor. Is they could have a pecking order in their society based on color. Who knows?
So it's funny you brought that up. We had tons of deer, and we had some piebald deer that were born. So I got to watch this process. They were like cattle. I mean, they lived on the place, I think I figured out why that is, because I would be going up this long driveway of ours, and I would see the piebald deer, and I'd get out and look around. There'd be 17, 18 deer laying down, and you couldn't see them. So they give their location away, and they can't hide because they're like a big bright flag. And and so that's a survival thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear as day. The rest of the deer do not like the piebald deer. They don't want them around.
It was almost.
This is super rare. I've never heard anybody mention any of this. So this is a great conversation.
That's what I was when he started. Y'all, if y'all saw me, I knew exactly where he was going with it. Because
good.
And but
corroboration. That's good.
And it was kind of sad too, because
it's really sad to
They
see.
the mothers run them off earlier. The
Mhm.
rest of the group run them off. They kick them, they bite them, or whatever, And I was like, "What are they doing?" And I figured out, wait a minute. Every time I see one of those, there's 15 or 20 more that I can't see, and then so that it gives the location away. So yeah, they're it's if you raise animals or farmed or anything like that, and the animal world is cruel, very cruel. So
vicious.
they get rid of the weak link pretty fast.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's sad, but it's like I said, it's part of survival.
Yeah, there's nothing that humans do to animals that comes close to what they do to each other.
That's right.
I mean, people that are anti-hunting, it's not even close.
No.
What they're doing to each other.
So what are your thoughts, Amanda, on this color hair thing? They're more aggressive.
I'm not actually too sure, to be honest. This is a first for me, so my mind is kind of blown, and my wheels are turning, processing the whole thing, because I'm like, I've never thought of that. And there's always, just like anything in this subject matter, it's always could be a possibility. And so
what's cool
here's
is
a new rabbit hole for me to go down this week.
Yeah, well, what's cool is we can go back and look at the databases and maybe see some patterns.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
I've actually got somebody I'm thinking of right now who I follow on TikTok who's working on data analysis. And I'm like, I should reach out to her and see if she has anything on that.
There's
the thing I
also
always think of too is
theories with. Oh, sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say that everything in nature makes sense. Nothing's really random. I mean, everything's 100%. There for a reason. Every pattern you see, every difference you see, every behavior you see, there's a reason for it. We might not understand it, but there is absolutely a reason for it. You just got to look at the broader pattern and figure it out.
Jeff, it's just like that video y'all showed earlier. We saw a bird riding this thing in the water, and you're like, "What? No, you're crazy." Well, there it is.
There it is.
Has it ever happened before? Maybe not. Does it happen all the time? Like Doug found
if
the
a tree
beaver
falls in the woods, then nobody's there to see it or hear it.
Who knows?
Yeah,
they know we're there. Like you said, they know we're there. They're going to act different when they know we're there. No question of that. But actually,
what's interesting is when an animal figures something out and it repeats that behavior or teaches its offspring. I have 2 cats, and one of them learned how to open the door by weight. He knows to jump up, get a hold of the door handle, and it turns, and he can open the door. Well, my little cat is not as smart, but she is really honed into what her brother does. She's not heavy enough to turn the door, but she knows the door can open, so she's trying to work at it and put her paw under the door to open the door to now she's not going to be able to open the door, but the fact is even the dumb creature saw and it's my cat, I can call her dumb. Amanda knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But even the dumb one can recognize the benefits of the smart one and at least even try to interact with that. So capybara riding a bird or whatever, or bird riding a capybara, it might then become a new normal. You never know. Nature's crazy.
Yeah. But it always makes sense. You just might not realize it right away. But
and I also wanted to say there's similar to the fur, hair, whatever you want to call it, color. There's also very similar talks about reported Bigfoot skin tone, because not everybody reports a skin tone, but when it is reported in Bigfoot sightings, it's usually typically like a white, a gray, or a black. I can't think of a single time where it's come off peachy or something crazy like yellow or anything like that. But you get a lot of white, grays, blacks. And
have you guys ever heard of a white-skinned Bigfoot? That was really light-skinned. I haven't.
Not skinned.
Not off the top of my head. I've heard of white furred ones, but I can't remember anybody mentioning any kind of skin tone with that.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many stories popping up that are skipping like.
So what percentage do you think people report? They see a Bigfoot cross in front of their car. They look at their wife and go, "Do you see that, Martha?" Yeah. What was it? I don't know. Whatever. Don't tell him. Just forget about it. How often do you think that happens compared to people that actually report it?
That has to be tons.
So low.
Yeah,
I think it's
so
going to be
low.
less.
Well,
than
throw a
1%.
percentage. Throw a
Less,
percentage.
less than 1% out of
Okay.
100%.
But here's
could be
why
right.
here's why I agree. We can sit here and we can go to a meet and greet. We can go to a conference somewhere. We can all meet together and go somewhere. We're around 98% believers or 100%. But if you go to the mall, I don't know if they still have those things, but in or wherever you're at in a crowd, 500 people at the movies or 68,000 in a whatever, there's very few people thinking about Bigfoot.
Mhm.
So, and then if you see it, what is it? If you have no reference to it, now the TV shows and all of that and all of the commercialization of the thing, of the subject or the critter, everybody knows. But if somebody sees something and they don't know, like you said, did you see that? Yeah, what was it? What's the reason to call? I was a dispatcher for a while, and we would get some pretty wild calls, but I never got anything about an animal other than one cow that was eating somebody's cabbage, and that was it. So I feel like it's probably pretty low too.
So put a percentage, Roger.
I'd say, okay, Doug, keep pinning me down. I'll say 2%.
Okay.
And that's high. That's high.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Amanda? What do you think?
I'd say less than 1% of people openly share with anybody outside of family, if they even share at all.
And Ashley, what do you think?
I would say 5%,
Okay.
but that's really, really high. And I think it depends on whether or not they have some kind of corresponding proof. I know a lot of people who have recordings of like, see, it's a Bigfoot. And you're like, maybe, but people who have something are typically really eager to show it. But for people who've just had a sighting and they're not entirely sure, I would say closer to Roger, like maybe that 2%. Because especially if you don't know what you saw, because kind of off your coattails there, Roger or Doug, sorry, misspoke. Not everything in the woods is a Bigfoot. We don't know. People might be claiming they saw a Bigfoot when it could possibly be a dogman or vice versa. That's before we even get into rakes and shadow creatures, and which shadow creatures are definitely in the woods, by the way, not just in the corner of your house. Wendigo, I almost said Wendigo. Trademark, sorry.
That's okay.
I think I saw one of those one time.
Yeah. Well, Roger went to the car wash yesterday and he asked him for a wash and a walks.
Can I get a large fly with that?
I just had a great conversation with a lady who told me her bat squatch story here in Washington.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah. And so we call it a bat squatch because and there's even talks about Mothman actually looking moth-like versus, more bat-like, but they could call it Batman. So I mean, like, again, we're all seeing these things, but what are they? So I think if somebody saw a Bigfoot, they'd be like where it was more a stereotypical Bigfoot, thick neck or no neck, head, body very tall. I think people would be a little bit more likely to talk about that because again, that pop culture references might be there, might be.
Yeah.
But if it's just a shadowy creature in the woods or that sickening feeling in your stomach you get when you're seeing something you're not supposed to see or you can't process, I wouldn't talk. Like, I don't know if I'd be so eager to share it outside of Amanda, like, and Roger now. But
well, I have a feeling that if everybody reported everything they saw that was really weird, where they did have a good sighting, I think it would just blow our minds. If everybody just did it.
I could pick out 3 people right now, and the numbers would probably quadruple in that state just for them reporting what they've, and what I like about the people I'm talking about, of course I can't say, is they're not worried about proving anything. They look out the window and there they are,
Right.
or up on top, same guy that had one on top of the cabin I told you about. And it's really mind blowing to think about, all of the, what would it be? The almost sightings, I guess. Like, what was that? You don't know, but I think when you're talking to a person, you're interviewing a person, you take some things into account, that helps. Did this person grow up on a farm? Are they used to seeing how animals move? You can show me, or a hunter, maybe you can show me a tip of an ear, and I might can tell you what kind of dog it is or animal, because of being exposed to all these different ones, and we know what this region of their leg looks like. Or
For sure.
that's what I try to pick out. I try to pick out when I'm seeing something. I try to focus on that one thing that can tell me what it is. Now, there's been a couple of things that shook me up because I couldn't pick out that one thing. And I called my buddy, and I was shook up. I'm like, I don't know what I just saw. It was about 800 pounds, and it was on the side of the road at the LBL after midnight, and it looked like it was digging. I didn't see an elbow. I didn't see a knee. I didn't see a tail. And I had a good look at the rear end because it was really close to the truck. That's what shook me up. I couldn't see a tail. If I'd have seen a tail, I could probably told you within 30 seconds what that animal was. I left there, got to our cabin, and I still have no clue what that thing was. And I'm not going to say it's a Bigfoot because I don't know. It could have been a bear that didn't have a tail or something like that. I don't know. But if I'd have seen an ear, or if I'd have seen a snout, or anything that could have helped me, I might have tried to say what it was. But I can't even do that. And you can tell. So when you're interviewing, like when Jeff started his story, it tickles me when people start sharing things like that, because I've seen that before too. But a lot of people are not very observant. We all know that. Some people perceive things different. Some people panic. Some people lock in on what they're looking at. And I feel like, that's with anything, whether it's a Bigfoot or whether it's a sign they saw on the interstate. Most people can't agree on the billboard they just saw. No, it's exit 37. No, it's right here. No, well, there it was. It was big right there, and nobody knows what it said. So anyway.
It reminds me of a funny story. Gosh, this is many years ago, high school age. A friend of a friend came to visit up north. And he was a kid that had lived his entire life in the city. I can't remember what city it was in. This kid was urban his entire life. And we were just kind of walking around. We were kind of in the backyard. We were going to the woods for a little bit. And this kid from the city is, you can't go in there. What do you mean? We're just going to walk it through the little wooded path. There's bears in the woods. I mean, he literally thought that there was a bear stationed.
Yeah.
A grizzly bear stationed every 10 feet that was going to get him. Well, that's
just a forest ranger with a little like, all right, here's one bear slip for you. Report.
Yeah, I mean, it's so there's a lot of people that just have no idea what it's like in the woods.
They've never been exposed. Like at our store, we had a famous chicken that got famous on the radio for some reason. People were actually driving from Nashville, Tennessee, to see this chicken. But I saw people from all over the country, like you said, urban areas. I heard that chicken called everything but a chicken a lot of times.
Yeah.
Oh, mama, look, it's a turkey. It's a, and I'm like, what? And the kids and the people, the reactions, they were scared of this thing.
Yeah.
And, now some of them you need to be, but you can kind of, tell if but we got to remember, we have, at my age, 54 years old, I've got a 54-year-old memory bank of sounds, smells, all kind of things. My wife said, you don't never jump when I do something, because I've already processed what the sound is.
Right.
as it happens, and it doesn't scare me. Now, if it's time to jump, it's time to jump. But I've had some bad things happen in my life. And I think that's the reason I'm more calm. But we've got to realize that we say all the Bigfoots are different. All the witnesses are different too. So
for sure,
you can only get what you can get out of them. Doug, I'm sure y'all have had this happen. Get somebody on, they've got a story about a Bigfoot, and you ask them, like, yeah, I saw a Bigfoot. Yep, it was big. It was brown. That was it. That's all they know about it. But you get somebody like me that maybe locks in on the jawline, and I might can draw this for you, and these pock marks on the face and this side of this nostril, but that's all I can give you. But I'm giving you what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like eyewitness sketches. They're not like Leonardo da Vinci masterpieces. They usually hone in on a particular detail or feature of the person because that's what they saw, right? And I know Sibylla Irwin could probably, with her sketches and stuff, could say more about similar. Sorry, Roger, I didn't mean to interrupt him.
No, you're good. I mean, I think sometimes we forget or like where we're coming from of having experiences where it's paranormal, UFOs, whatever, and not being dramatic about it. It happened. I don't know why it happened. I don't know what it is, but this is what happened. Sometimes we forget that we're in a spot where we know whatever this stuff is, it's real. Then you've got the people that, well, I think it's real, and this is what I saw. Sometimes I feel like we have a luxury that other people don't have because we're at point, G, we're there at A, and we're trying to get to Z to figure out, what's going on. Once you get over that hurdle of, are they real? I've seen some researchers, that, and it's great to doubt people or doubt evidence or whatever. You have to do that. But I've talked to them. They're like, I just don't know. And I said, I understand. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, if that had not happened when I was 14, I might have been one of the trolls in chat making fun of y'all. But I can't do it because, and when people tell wild stories like Amanda told earlier that she heard, I cannot bat an eye at that story because of some of the things I've told some of my stories. And in my head, I'm like, Roger, you need to shut up. You sound crazy, but I just take a deep breath and go on with it because that's what happened. That's all I can tell you, And so with these witnesses, I was in some of the interrogation rooms sometimes when I was training at the sheriff's department. And believe it or not, at 19 or 20, they would let me ask questions sometimes because they would miss things. And at first they told me not to, but telling me to be quiet it's kind of tough. And I did the best I could. And there was an obvious thing they missed. So I asked the guy about it. So they let me talk after that. But with witnesses in general, y'all know this, the quicker you can get the story down, the better. Because your body goes through, look, what people forget. One thing is, I can tell you, I saw one that was 7 foot 4 inches tall. He weighed 650 pounds. Not many people understand what mass comes with that. Okay. You can spit those numbers out all day long. So when you have you can have a great witness, but it was so traumatizing to them that they may start blocking it out, or they may, I've gone back before, the way my memory works, replayed conversations for the most part, or when I have my memories like a video plan or whatever. And there are things that have popped up because somebody might have said something. Oh, wait, I forgot about that. When I was 11, I was in the tree stand and got ran out. I forgot all about that. Something yelled out, was breaking trees, and I totally forgot about that. Same spot, but that was a terrifying memory for me, and I forgot about it until a couple years ago. I was like 11 years old. I started screaming for my dad. So if you hear somebody recalling, sometimes you can recall things you forgot about, but some more than times than not, it fades away. And that's why I like to get people on the mic, let them tell their story as quick as possible. When we had the orb thing happen a few weeks ago, I got the guys together. I said, guys, we need to get this on right now. Not because I was like, oh, look what we caught. We need to get this on here because we're all older. And 5 weeks from now, we may not remember what happened. But anyway, so I'm like Ashley, I don't know where I was going with that. But,
well, I want to hear the bat squatch story quick.
Yeah, the bat squatch.
So I would like to not tell it respectfully, just because I'm hoping that she'll come on in a later episode and tell it for herself.
Okay.
But I do want to jump on Roger's coattails and a little bit of yours too, Doug. So I've actually never told this story outside of Roger and like Amanda, but so here's the thing.
Okay.
I was literally on my way to the airport, to SeaTac Airport, to fly out to go to Scotland. Amanda's smiling because she knows where I'm going with this. To go to Scotland to actually do a Loch Ness Monster expedition. I was invited to be a part of this team. It's a whole other story. It's literally a lifelong dream come true. And to this day, probably like the highlight, like one of the highlights of my life. Not to be dramatic or anything, but anyway, I was en route for the airport, and I don't want to give like specific geographical locations where I am, but roughly this drive is about 5 hours to get from where I'm at to SeaTac Airport. I got out pretty late in the evening, actually way later than I had anticipated. I didn't leave here until like 8 or 9 at night, just because a lot of loose ends to tie up. Anyway, I was alert. I was excited. I was focused. I was ready. There was no lag in my step for this trip. Keeping in contact with several friends and family along the way. I've made this drive 1,000 times, both directions. I knew exactly where I was going. And just for the record, I love to drive. The car is my happy place. I don't care where I'm going, who I'm with. If I'm in the car, I'm happy. So all that to preface it. I was driving along. It's dark. It's late. It is now officially in the AM of this evening, or morning, I should say. And I have most of the isolated stretches of like just trees and forest and flatlands behind me. I'm now getting kind of closer to what will eventually be more cities, towns, civilization. So I'm probably 20 minutes away from like real civilization. And I saw a knot deer. And it's crazy because I don't talk about it very often. And so I don't know if the audience knows what a knot deer is.
Nope.
Nope.
So a knot deer is kind of a cryptid in the sense that people are reporting these things, but to what extent, if it's its own unique creature, we don't really know. A lot of people associate it to like a Wendigo, or I keep saying that, Wendigo or a skinwalker. But just similar to like you see something and it looks like, at first glance, it looks like a deer, but the more you look at it, you're seeing things aren't making sense, proportions aren't making sense, features aren't making sense, and your brain's trying to compute like, but it's a deer, but it's not a deer. I saw a knot deer, and couple of the key features that I saw was deer have kind of eyes off to the side. It's a prey animal, so prey hunting animals tend to have eyes up front because they're,
Binocular
hunting.
vision, yeah.
This thing had eyes. It had a very human face, very human, like right off the bat. It's the first thing. It just had a very humanoid face. It did not have a long snout. It was a very flat face. Um, One of its arms, its front arms, was extremely, I mean, cartoonishly elongated to the point where a hoof would be was almost like noodled, pooled, like it went onto the ground. The other arm, if you will, the had like a hand kind of foot looking thing instead of a hoof on one. I mean, this thing was just messed up. And here's the thing, if I had no frame of reference whatsoever what that was, I would have been scared out of my mind. I don't even know if I would have told Amanda that story right away if I had no frame of reference of what I had just saw. But because I intake a lot of the spooky content or stories or cryptids or research or whatever, like I knew what a knot deer was. And I literally was driving going, is that a knot deer? like maybe not that calmly. I mean, I was scared because obviously you're seeing something that you don't necessarily want to see. You don't hear good stories about these things. And the irony is not lost on to me that I am on my way to a Loch Ness monster expedition and I see a knot deer. But frame of reference is so important to what you're seeing. Again, to go back to this whole thing, this is why these conversations are so important. I know I'm not crazy. Amanda knows I'm not crazy. I reported to her almost clinically, this is where I was at. This is what time. This is what I saw there, and she was so good to walk me through the questions. Was there anybody else around you vehicle wise? Just so we could get it on our between ourselves, just kind of documented so I could say I knew what I saw. I eventually told Roger the story, and outside of Amanda, Roger was actually the first person I ever told it to. And as I was saying it, as I was telling him the story, it was just like, oh wow, I had that experience. I just butchered that entire story, but my point is frame of reference is so important. If you know what you're, even if you don't know much about it, if as long as you kind of have a general idea of what you may or may not be dealing with, it really helps. It really, really helps in this realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear more about your Loch Ness trip. But tell me about that.
So real quick, guys, I'm so used to on our show, normally we have to cut it off at exactly 2 hours. You guys aren't worried about time?
No, they're not.
3
I'm
hours
not. I'm good.
later.
I'm along for the ride. I
Um,
might be sleepy for work tomorrow, but it won't be the first time.
Not me. The Loch Ness trip was the trip of a lifetime. I just am so honored to gone to meet and work hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with some of the most amazing people in the game, both in terms of the old guard and the new guard. A lot of people don't realize, like, Nessie is arguably the most famous water cryptid, but by no means the only one. They're all over the world with a lot of similarities and a lot of differences, just like Bigfoot reports. And I got to work with a fantastic team, Loch Ness Exploration, that is headed up by the amazing Alan McKenna. Shout out to Alan McKenna. Hopefully he'll see this and be pleased. But Alan is like-minded, and I would say like Amanda and I, we're all of similar age and similar interests. And so but his passion is Nessie, like specifically Nessie. And I hope to have him on the show as a guest one day as well. But anybody can look him up. He's all over YouTube. He's got his own channel. He's on social media. He's the most easiest guy to get a hold of and down to earth enough to be in contact with people. But it was his project to lead what was called the Quest, And at the time, I believe, what would that been? 2023 was the first quest, and at the time, it was the biggest search for Nessie in over 50 years. And we're talking resources, technology, money, energy, sponsorships. Like, this was a huge deal. People getting together to
like
look
a
for
Guinness
her.
World Record thing.
I
or was close to it.
I think so. I think the second year it might have. I actually need to double check with Alan about that, because I've said that before, but I actually don't know for sure. So to the best of my knowledge, the first year was kind of a one-off. I was available to, I did some publicity for it. I did some news coverage for it. Mainly I just manage some webcams, because there's only so much I can do from Washington State, The second year came around, and I don't know if it was intended to be an annual thing, but it did become an annual thing. And the second year came around, and Alan had personally invited me, no expectation, and I wasn't even sure I could make it, but just the way it all worked out, a lot of people pulled some strings to make sure that I was able to do that. And a big shout out to my husband, Aaron, who really, really, really made sure that I could do that. Like, he recognized that was my dream, and made sure that we could do that. So that all being said, there's so many family friendly stories, and then there's a few not family friendly stories, but it was a core group of us researchers, and we got to talk to eyewitnesses, we got to talk to historians, we got to talk to just people who've been there, in terms of tourism, even just kind of every perspective. Some people swear it's there, some people swear it's not. And overall, my big take on it, and I've said this before, people will say, oh, Nessie doesn't exist, it's a touristy thing, it's there to sell merchandise and souvenirs. And that's partially true. In my research, in my understanding, in my exploration of all of this, I've seen things in that lock. You cannot tell me that there's nothing in there. We had a few very close sightings, nothing concrete as far as that smoking gun picture, but I've talked to other people and I've seen their smoking gun evidences. I'm so convinced. But I will say, I hope this makes sense. I think, and it sounds a little bit like a conspiracy theory, and I promise I'm not trying to paint it that picture, but I will say, I think the issue is when you have it unknown, as long as it stays a mystery, it can be anything you want it to be. It can be the Disney-esque family-friendly plesiosaur to sell plushies to children. It can be the scary monster man-eater that, fuels maybe stories or whatever, and everything in between. There is not a single shop in Scotland that you will not find something Loch Ness. It's not exclusive to Inverness or Drumnadrochit or anything like that. I think the reason why there hasn't been a huge push to just really go after this creature is because once you put a face to it, you do lose all the touristy stuff. You do lose the merchandise and the souvenirs. It's not that it doesn't exist, it's that it does, but mystery sells far more than zoos. If that makes any sense at all.
It makes a lot of sense. Do you think Nessie is the most compelling instance of a lake monster, or
No,
are there better cases? No?
Not even slightly.
What do you think is the most compelling one?
Ogopogo.
Yeah.
100% Ogopogo, which
up in
is about
British Columbia, Canada.
Yeah.
Yes, about 2 hours away from me.
Yeah.
In Canada, yes. Ogopogo has some of the most absolutely compelling evidence, eyewitness testimonies, Native American lore and legends, oral traditions, cave paintings. There's a lot of historical tangible evidence outside of the oral traditions that support something in that lake, and has had, how do I say this? The description of the creature itself has been very consistent. With Nessie, you'll get, humps in the water, or the plesiosaur kind of, iconic shape, or, maybe it was just an upside down boat rippling through boat shape rippling through the water. Ogopogo is pretty consistent with its shape. I would say secondary to Caddy, a very famous sea serpent on the western coast here where I live, all the way up from Canada, Washington, Oregon, California. Champ in Vermont is probably my closeted favorite, just because it's the American Loch Ness Monster. Like, we got one too. Champy is probably one of my favorites, just because, again, some of the most groundbreaking evidences we have as far as echolocation and actual recordings that are being studied and analyzed is real tangible proof and evidence. Very remarkable. Not even to mention the Sandra Mancy photo, one of the most famous photos ever taken of any type of water cryptid. And those are just the more lake-ish monsters. We haven't even gone into dinosaur lores like Mankelian Bembe. I always mispronounce this one. The I'll look it up. Inca something. Because we don't know what these things are. They're very prehistoric in the same way we think of sharks or crocodiles or alligators or even trees. We see prehistoric things all the time. A Nessie adjacent creature, dinosaur, amphibian, whatever it may be, is really not as far-fetched as I think a lot of people want to tell you that it is. And I realize I've been talking for like 10 minutes, so I'm going to give it for a second. I get so excited.
Well, just to corroborate what you're saying too, there's a lot of animals that are pretty prehistoric. We're just used to them.
100%.
If you don't know, if you've never seen anything and you saw a giraffe, looks prehistoric. A rhinoceros.
What makes a giraffe any more believable than a unicorn? If you were to describe the two, I would say a horse with a horn on its head is far more believable than whatever the hell giraffe is.
Yeah, we're just used to it.
Or even just a crocodile. Those are literal dinosaurs.
We just talked last week or a couple weeks ago about platypus. I mean, that animal is thoroughly bizarre, and
it can make its own custard if it wanted to.
Interesting. So I've actually been to Loch Ness. It's a beautiful place. I love it.
It really is.
Great city.
Mm-hmm. So Ashley, I want to change the topic here. You had mentioned that the knot deer. Well, yes. I saw one too. It was dead, and I got to tell you this story real quick. I was driving my daughter to school, and I saw an animal at the side of the road that just it was black and it had kind of gold colored, like light brown swirls in it. I thought, what the hell is that? And I saw big hoofs that were way thicker than deer hoofs and longer legs. So I pulled over, got out of my car, examined it. It had rounded ears, hoofs like a deer, but much thicker, oh my God, as thick as a horse hoofs. And it had longer legs than any deer. And I'm looking at this thing and my daughter is in the car going, Dad, I'm going to be late for school. And I'm like, okay, well, just a second. And I'm looking at this thing and I finally go, okay, I'll come back, because it's only like a mile and a half, 2 miles from where we were. Bring her in, drop her off, rush back. When I got back, it was gone. There was a shovel. You could see the shovel marks where they had shoveled up the blood, shoveled up everything, cleaned everything, and it was gone within 12 minutes. And now we have, I see dead deer on the side of the road. They lay there for days before the city cleans them up. So to this day, I have this memory, but it had like bear-like ears, but it had like a deer-like snout. It was just, it was weird. So the
Amanda,
question
help
is,
me out. What was the, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, did I really see it? did I really get out of my car and examine it? Did all this happen? Because in the end, I just got left holding the bag. I was like, what? That's my story. Not deer.
Not deer.
Literally
Amanda,
not
help
a
me
deer.
out.
Don't know what it was.
What I ask you this, she for the audience, she is literally the other half of my brain. It's like I always have to like go through Amanda to keep things straight. The Sibylla sketch, I asked you about it.
Oh, for the face, yeah. So a famous Bigfoot witness, Mike Woolley, from Louisiana, and Miss Sibylla Irwin did a sketch of that creature that he saw because it was so human-like in its face, and they have a drawing of it in the museum that you remembered seeing, and you was describing it, and you said it looks like this, and I sent you that picture, and you're like, yeah, that's it. That because that was your frame of reference to the facial structure that you saw was.
It was so similar that it really was uncanny. It was a very human face to the point where I could see skin and then what looked like hair for whatever. It kind of encircled the face a little bit, and
so creepy.
Oh, it was it. If somebody can pull that up, if somebody has that, I don't have it on this laptop. If somebody could do a quick Google search on that, but like,
what's cool though is I'm forever in search of somebody else that saw, or you know what I mean, something similar. I'm sure you are too. You're always like pursuing like reports, going, did anybody else see that thing?
Well, and that's the crazy thing too, because like, I'm very open-minded. I'm not one to normally say, oh, you didn't see that. I might have some pretty hard-hitting questions. I might want details, but that doesn't necessarily mean I just don't believe you. So when I saw this thing, because pareidolia is a real thing. I don't think we talk about pareidolia enough. I mean, 100%. Anybody who knows me, like I'm always looking in Amanda and I have this fun game where it's like, we'll send each other cloud pictures and it's like, oh, look, it looks like a Godzilla, or it looks like a Nessie, or it looks like a, whatever. But this thing at first, when I first saw this, it looked like, oh, there.
Will it work? Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Good gracious.
I know, isn't that freak? It's so,
nice.
It's so close.
How do you know it wasn't a Bigfoot though, if it had a human-like face?
Great question, Doug. So what I was saying or trying to say, because Amanda talks with her hands. I talk 1,000 miles per hour and I get really excited and it's really hard to stay on topic. So I will say, when I saw this thing, and this is what I was saying about pareidolia, like I saw a deer, like we all know what a deer looks like. It's this tawny color, big creature, kind of bigger than a dog, smaller than a horse, long limbs. It was off the ground, your body and a neck and a head. And so and I will say, up here, deer are everywhere. I mean, it's a love language to say, watch for deer when somebody's leaving the house. Like you're constantly on the
no, but my question though, Ashley, is why did you even think it was a deer? Why a deer? Why did your brain go there?
Because it was deer shaped. It was
the body was.
The body was. So
but a Bigfoot in a prone position that's bent over on all fours could look like, especially maybe a younger, skinnier one.
I definitely see your point, Doug, and I think that's a very valid way of looking at it. I can't take the picture out of my head and show you guys what I saw exactly, but I guess the best way I can explain it why I thought it was a deer was this. We think of Bigfoots as being kind of bulky and taking up a lot of space, even the young ones.
Muscly and big muscles. Bulky.
Bulky, yeah, very bulky, dense. you know, they're dense things, even the younger ones that tend to be dense. And what I was seeing, I was still seeing space, empty space between. So like where these legs were, yes, the proportions weren't right. Yes, this one had a hand, but I could still see kind of underneath it. I could still see the rump of what looked very deer shaped. Again, deers have those very long columned, you know, necks. Outside of having a round, flat face, this thing wasn't any bigger than a deer should be. It was deer size, and it was also right under, and I have scale too. It was actually right underneath not a mile marker sign, but in Washington State, you know, it's like, you know, your mile signs. Ours vary between green, blue, and brown, depending on what it is that you're looking at. I'm sure that's similar everywhere else, but it was a green mile sign. So Seattle, so many miles, whatever the next town, so many miles. This thing was literally under the sign. So I had scale as well, to gauge how big this was. And it did not appear crouching. When we think of crouching, like I said, that kind of dense shape, this, you could see the spaces.
Did it have really skinny legs, Ashley?
Yes, it had skinny legs.
Like ungulate legs.
Thicker than what you would think, because when you think of deer, they tend to have like the wider legs at their body that thin out, kind of more pointy at the bottom.
Right, yeah.
I would say the legs were thicker, but not enough where that would have alarmed me. What alarmed me was the length of the arm. The one arm was so, like I said, it was cartoonishly long. It pulled at the bottom like a snake would curl,
like
almost.
A spaghetti curl or something.
Oh, really?
Yes. Wow. And then the other limb, while it was the right size, like the right length, the other arm was the right length, but that had, like I said, that very hand kind of foot shape attached to it. So the one was just so long it spaghetti curled. The other had some kind of hand foot at the bottom. Weird. And I will say, Doug, I didn't see enough of the back to get a full picture. I just know when I first saw it, that outline of a deer, the neck, the face, a little bit of the rump in the back. I did one glance in my rearview mirror to make sure that it wasn't some spooky thing, like it was after me kind of thing. But other than that, I tried not to give it any more of my energy. I didn't want it to know I was scared or startled. Definitely my heart was pounding, but I gathered my emotions and turned my music on and just wasn't going to give it any more energy in case it was something more spiritual and not flesh and blood, because we don't know what they are.
Yeah, I'd say. So, I mean, what goes through your head, Roger, when you hear a real offbeat story like that from somebody you trust? It's crazy.
I actually heard it. It was a voice message, right, that you sent us. And listening to her, she was more relaxed. And the way she told the story and recalled a lot of the details, I have no idea. I've never heard of a night deer.
I have. I have, because I even had a friend that saw one like 2 years ago.
So but my feeling when I hear something like that is that just adds more questions to what we're doing, because
you
know, the what are these things? And you know, when I do research, or what, if you call it that, and you run up on something in nature that's possible, like this doesn't have anything to do with Ashley's story, but it sounds strange if I tell you that there's, and you probably know this, there's a butterfly that looks green to us, but it has absolutely no pigment whatsoever. So the distance between the pattern is the same wavelength as green light. So that's what we see. And when I hear odd stories like Ashley's, that sounds just as odd to me, that something looks green to us but has no color to it. So, I mean, we say all the time, normal, paranormal, we don't know. So
what may be considered paranormal right now is actually something that's completely normal or natural, and it's a science or natural phenomenon that we just don't understand yet.
or maybe we did have the books and the knowledge 100 years ago, 200 years ago, whatever, and they're not here anymore. And we're having to constantly relearn things. So when I hear a story like that, yes, it sounds out there, but I can tell you stories about regular things too that blows your mind just as much.
Magnets, how do they work? No, I'm kidding.
No, Jeff, I like this. How does a positive track on a 68 Plymouth work? I don't know. It just does.
It works, yeah. We were talking about cars earlier today with both gearheads.
It just does.
Well, guys, it's late. We're going to wind it up. Be looking for Squatchin Holler on the Untold Radio Network.
Looking forward to it.
I think you're going to really like the show. And I would imagine that you've got a really good guest for your first show. You know?
I didn't want to say anything. Well, no, I did. I finally nailed it down. I've been trying to get this confirmed for 3 or 4 days. So today, I was like, you know what? They are friends, but I've learned a lot, and people love to hear their stories and research stories. So we're having Tim Kumbo Baker and Greg House, and both from Alabama, live, pretty close to each other. They're friends. I don't know what they saw in me to take me under their wings, and actually teach me things. Actually have come in handy in situations, some of the knowledge that I've learned from them. And I thought, what better way to kick this thing off than to have a couple of people, great storytellers. Amanda had the girls, they haven't met them yet. And I asked Kumbo today if he would want to have the honor of having the first show on the switch over. He said, yeah, that'll work. What night? So it's this 2 years has been crazy. It's been a whirlwind of things, like Amanda went through earlier, from telling your story for the first time to end up where we're at right now. But we're not going to change how we're doing things. We're just wanting to welcome more people in to come sit with us and have discussions.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it. And I appreciate the offer, and I know these two are excited.
Yeah, I have not told them one thing to change in the interior of their show. Not a thing. I don't care what that's up to Roger and Amanda and Ashley. They decided in the past, and they're going to keep doing the same thing. We're just want to get them more listeners. So
yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely. We definitely
look forward to working with you.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I want to thank you guys big time for coming on, and you guys have been so great to work with already. It's just been so nice. And
absolutely.
And we really think highly of you. We're going to leave everybody with a little tiny bit of wisdom, and then just to stay tight. We're going to come right back.
Stay tight. Here we go.
It's now time for Untold Radio AM Wisdom of the Week. Remember, you cannot change what you are, but rather what you do. Good night from all of us at the Untold Radio Network.
Once again, good wisdom.
Yeah, and we're back. Thank you, everybody. Thank you also to our moderators. We had quite a few in there, and so thanks to guys like Steve Wolf and Kenny Hess and Loretta, and on and on and on. At some point, we got to do a show just devoted to you guys.
Oh, that's cool.
We really appreciate it. But thanks everybody for in chat. What a very active crowd. And we will be back next week, same time, same place, hopefully without microfonts.
Difficulties. Yeah, we would have gremlins for a while.
Many technical difficulties.
Yeah, without technical difficulties. Oh my God.
Plasma weapon attacks. Just
yes. I think it was you guys. You guys
we just have that effect on people.
Yeah, you guys brought
all
it
the tinfoil. It disrupts some things. It's fine.
Right?
We'll try it.
It's an Appalachia thing. It's a holler thing. So
Yep.
It could be. Well, look at the lightning.
It's a holler thing.
Look at the lightning bolts in your background.
Perfect.
Hey.
Perfect.
Anyhow, good night, everybody. Thanks so much.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Thank y'all.
I call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just